The car is one of, if not the nicest cars at SEMA, right? Not only the best car that you guys have ever built, it's one of the best cars that's been built in the last several years, right? So you're just like, but you can't like tell Kendig like, oh, fucking Riddler's good enough, right? Yeah. You know, it's the fucking best car there.
Oh, 100%.
So
absolutely.
we're sitting there at dinner. It's just the three of us, you know, and we're going back and forth, you know. And this is an hour and a half long, right? Everybody's got opinions. We have our entire staff that's in it. And like you said, you're phoning friends, you get their stuff. There's never a limit of like, oh, we're going to have a top 3 or a top 5 of best on the rest, right? So we're sitting there and we back and forth. And it's an obvious thing, but at the same time, we're conflicted. It's like, this is not right. Because if you take Riddler out of it, and if that car didn't show up, your car is the best car there. But the car did show up. So that's when Jeremy's like, he said flat out, he's like, this is our award. We can do whatever the fuck we want. Everybody thinks that it was planned.
Yeah, runner-up to Dave is okay.
It was, no, we didn't do runner-up. What's going through your head when we announced it? Because obviously you're like, okay, I get it.
So
but
going in there, like in the back of your mind, you're like, maybe they won't give it to him. But like at that point in the party, you're like, it's like you see Dave, he's there, this and that. You're like, it's a given. Like, so you write that off.
Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of Oil and Whiskey. This is actually episode numero uno of the 4th season. Something that everybody's been asking about for a while.
The banger.
Yep. We
had to let our livers recover for a little bit the first month of the year.
That's a good thing to say.
Dry January.
Yeah. Well, let's go with that.
Yeah, dry January. There you go.
There's that, and then we thought nobody was really listening to this, but then we were out at Barrett Jackson. We did Roadster Show, and like surprisingly, some
two people came up.
2 or 3
asked
people.
if, yeah.
I mean,
No, we're double digits now.
Single digits.
There's a couple of people that have said,
Like,
dude, I've told
man, I
you
was
several
waiting for that new
times I'm
episode.
number 9 and number 10. Stop saying that it's only a few. No, we had everything planned. Everything was going good. And we normally take a break there from SEMA to Christmas. Yeah. We have enough, in the can, as they say in the industry. And then
we just really enjoyed the break and kept riding it out.
And then
we had a couple. No, we would have come in strong, and we don't ever put one out for the week of New Year's, right? Everybody's traveling. So we had one. We had some planned to be recorded. A couple of different guys got sick, deathly ill. You may or may not have been one of them.
I think I died.
And screwed that all up. Yeah, and then a couple of other scheduling conflicts. So
here we are. That's all that matters.
Hey,
what matters is that
they're
we're
out
back.
now.
You're fucking back.
You're listening, right?
Finally drummed up the bottom of the barrel to get going.
that should be a feather in your cap, because we're starting. If we were ending with it, we're like, this is if this is the end of the season, and guess what? We got Paul and Joe from Dutchboys here.
Season premiere and season finales are always the big ones, right? Yeah. You never want to be on that Wednesday in like June.
Apologies to all the guests.
the guy.
We're gonna look up who that was.
That's gonna fuck. As I was saying it,
that one's coming back to get you.
I forgot there's like a history there to look at. So in studio, the best ones, as always, Paul and Joe from Dutchboys.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
everybody knows who's Dutchboys. Y'all have come up on this podcast several times before. You just never been on.
We appreciate that.
Thanks for having us.
Yep.
It's about time.
Yeah, you come up all the time. You come up as like unanimously being a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Really?
That always. I don't know. They don't say that about you necessarily.
Yeah.
But
if you're to ask anyone at the shop, that's definitely the case. Like, he's the one that goes out and just totally just like shits on everyone's parade, and then I had to go out there and be like, hey.
And then you pick up the pieces.
Yeah.
Old school, I guess.
Yeah, we had that with our dad too, but I guess he went hard enough that there was no pieces to pick up.
Yeah.
There was no fixing it.
There was no pieces packed their toolboxes. Usually.
Oh,
yeah. But no,
Good
every
times.
time, I mean, almost any time your name comes up, I mean, Jeremy Carlson, like, obviously, as it could be a little bit, I mean, it's borderline homosexual.
It definitely is.
But it's, but that's all right. But anybody you talk to is like, man.
You're talking about the relationship or Jeremy? You're saying he's only borderline?
Both.
Yeah.
But they're like, man, Paul from Dutch Boy. That is
Not a hard connection to make.
Borderline, all the way over the line.
Yeah.
We've got whiskey to drink before we even do anything.
A special bottle.
You guys brought a gift.
I did.
Gifts are the best.
They truly are.
A good customer of mine bought one of these for me, and earlier this summer, and I've been thinking about it since the last time I had it. So I bought that on Christmas Eve, I think. I walked into a liquor store and they had like a little glass special area.
Yeah.
And it just was like,
bing.
Yeah, I had to have it.
Dude, it's a great bottle. I found a bottle of it, a buddy of mine, Sean, who we're trying to get on the podcast, actually.
Oh, are we?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, I know.
He was asking about it because he knows I'm always searching for stuff. And I had heard of it. I never drank it. And I found a bottle and I bought it for him. And I thought I was like being a great friend. I'm like, dude, I got that bottle for you. And he couldn't believe it. Well, I never connected with him to get him. The bottle's been sitting at my house now. Well, now I've drank, not that bottle, but I've had it. So now I'm just kind of hoping he's not going to like ask for it. Forget about it eventually.
I'd bring it up on a podcast. Yeah. That's the best way for him.
He's not listening to this.
Oh, okay.
I'm sharing this with you guys. This is a safe space.
Yeah. You don't think he's going to listen?
No.
Then why is he going to come on the podcast? If he's never listened, he doesn't get to come on.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell him that, but you can tell him.
Drinking that, and then Josh emailed me about coming on the podcast. Like it almost is going to get open.
Well, let's open it up.
Act 12, Scene 2. I wonder when Act 12 was.
Right after Act 11.
That's how they keep them in order.
Releases.
Mm-hmm. It's only once a year. Once or twice a year. You know who else had that recently at a show? For our consumption.
Mark Bowler. Is it Mark Bowler?
Cousin Mikey.
Oh no, not cousin Mikey.
Yeah. That's unanimously the thing that everybody says.
It's vibrating, and it's probably cousin Mikey. I'm on a group text with Mike and Troy from EBT and Jesse and Lobster Bob and a couple other guys, and it's fucking.
Cousin Mikey,
he lives the lifestyle.
Nobody knows this really, but we're going to break the news here. So Cousin Mikey's the only person, he's been talked about more than anybody on the podcast. He's never.
And here you go again.
He's never been on the podcast, but he's that one camera that's in the corner. He actually is the only one that's allowed to watch live. So he's watching right now as we speak. He doesn't even watch the recorded versions. He gets it live completely. Now he'll never be on the podcast ever.
That's probably good.
How is he via text message? Because
is it as loud?
It's loud.
Oh yeah, it's
all caps.
It's larger than life.
Is it?
It's the same. It's
I wonder
like
how
in person.
So it comes through a text. It's just the same way.
Yep. It's usually a selfie, and he's just like, yeah, just typical like he was here.
I almost felt bad in Scottsdale when like even the waitresses started just ripping him apart at dinner last night.
Did you almost feel bad?
Almost, yeah. I feel like he needed a little pep talk, get him back up, and then he.
I don't know if you could tell. I did not feel bad.
Oh, everybody could tell. The entire table could tell that you did not feel bad at all. I actually felt bad. You were going exceptionally hard.
But that's the only way you can go with him.
I guess.
If you show weakness, he's going for the fucking jugular.
It's all in good fun, though. Like, I feel like yours were more personal attacks.
No.
Okay.
I'm not apologizing for anything. Mikey, I love you.
I got a great idea.
What's that?
Your off-air talk.
We're gonna be down somewhere where he might be here soon. The big yet to be announced extravaganza podcast.
Okay.
It's coming. So breaking it right here on episode 1.
Just teasing it a little bit.
Yeah, something big's coming. Maybe a little another field trip coming. A little off-site, if you will.
Where's Mikey at in relation to you guys? He's north of you guys?
Yeah, he's we're here. Mike is here.
Okay, so close.
Right there at the
I've
right
known
there
Mike
at the
for
tip.
a long time.
Have you?
I don't know if that's good or bad, but yeah. Yeah.
Well, appreciate you guys coming out. We've been wanting to do this one for a while. I'm glad we can finally sit down. Yeah. We've known each other for a while, but I don't think we know the story, right? I hate to be cliche and kind of get into the origin story, but I think that's really what's kind of important because you guys kind of were just here. You just kind of like, there wasn't like a real big slow progression. It was just like, oh, fuck, Dutch Boy, that shit's badass, and everything you've built has been badass. So how did it all come from? And we want to talk about the shop because the shop looks fucking cool. I haven't seen it.
This is where the father-son comes in. He's
dynamics.
like, came from me. I taught him everything.
You want to start? Or
I don't know. I guess we talked about it a little bit. I mean, I guess
a little closer.
You know, I always worked in a collision shop for 25 plus years. I always did something at home, after hours kind of thing. And then I think it was like 2007. I think Kyle Tucker called me back early March or whatever it was. Needed somebody to come down and help with their Dale Earnhardt second gen they were doing. And,
so this Kyle Tucker, this is like a NASCAR guy who's
yeah,
he's a local
legend.
Got
it.
Anyway, but no, they Kyle called me and went down there and worked. I think for like 3 months or so, working on the body and paint on doing the orange car.
The orange one.
Yeah, and
that was a badass car.
Just got to work with some really, I was still had my job back home, but I took a leave from work and. They put me up in a hotel there for a while, and then I ended up actually living with Kyle and Stacy for a little bit too, staying at their house, and got to see how they went about it. I mean, they were, their work ethic was just unreal. I mean, 7 days a week, and I mean, it was not hard to see why they were successful. I mean, they worked, extremely hard, and anything they needed to do, they did it. So, but no, got to work with some really talented people. I always painted cars. I always wondered if I had what it took to do that kind of work, and got to work with some, really talented fabricators and other people in the shop. And we all kind of put it together on that car, and, they debuted it that summer and did real well. And just kind of end up, I think a short time later, working for him for a short time. I was traveling back and forth, just trying to make it work. And it just got to be so hard on the family. And, my wife ended up having she had some health issues. We found out she had some cervical cancer things started.
Oh, man, hate to hear that.
We were kind of freaking about that. And that's where it kind of like, hey, I need to be home. And so I had to kind of uproot, come back home, and kind of leave that dream job. So
yeah, it's hard.
But you'd been bit by the bug then.
I got bit by the bug, and then all of a sudden 2008 came.
Oh, it's perfect.
That's kind of when that's when I came back home, and then trying to find a job, and knew what I wanted to do, but I couldn't do it.
Should have went in the construction industry right there in 2008.
So, I ended up going back to the collision shop for, like 3.5 years or so, maybe about 3 years.
But it's nagging there in the back of your mind.
It just ate, wore at me. And then it wasn't too long after that, Mark Stilo was looking for somebody to do one of his Camaros, and Paul reached out to him. And then obviously Mark didn't know who we were, but he had reached out to Kyle, and Kyle said, "Hey man, if you get that guy to do your car, you're doing good." So we ended up doing one of that Red Devil, I think it was.
That's the first car we did. One had a little third bay garage at home.
Yeah, we basically did it out of the house. I had a shop set at home, and just kind of started, working there. And it's got to the point where I did that car, and then we had a customer north of us that, they have a real large private collection of European cars, Ferraris, Going, stuff like that. And we started doing their stuff. And
well, at first, at that point, I graduated high school and started doing co-op, worked at a body shop because I kind of just following footsteps of that. And then when I graduated high school, the next day, started working at a body shop, and I hated it. I just couldn't do it. And then finally one day, me and the guy that I worked for just went rounds, and I just couldn't. Yeah. I just quit, and I started working on stuff that we had lined up in the garage that we were working on at night. Him and I were working on at night, and then
we ended up renting that building from the guy the body shop I worked at is.
He rented me they had three pole barns, and he rented me a part of a pole barn, and I started working out of there. And then he was painting. I'd get cars ready to paint or whatever, and he would nights and weekends spend painting cars for me or whatever. And then it just got too much for, it was a lot for him, working a full-time collision job. And then
before we get too far in, because we've had these stories before, and I always feel bad because afterward I'm like, oh man, we should have asked this. Oh, we should ask. I'm interested because we've had this, kind of similar stories, right, on coming up. So kind of doing side work, right? And you've got a guy, that says, I'll let you do the body work. Hey, I'll let you do the paint. It's a full job, right? So you're doing, but you're also not fully set up and you haven't learned everything as far as billing and keeping track and stuff like that. What are you doing on the money side of things with that? Are you taking draws monthly? Are you doing billing weekly? Or you keep? I mean, I know there's a lot of learning through it, but I'm very interested in knowing the first thing of like
very little thought probably put into that part of it. I'm guessing.
Yeah, like now that you say that, like thinking like how we do things now, because I do a big part of that, and then like thinking back then of like buying like that cliche paper that you like has the yellow sheet and you like your hand
tear off, keep the pink copy.
Yep, that's what we were doing. Like I think at that point, like, hey, I'll take give me $2,500 and.
Because I mean, most of those generally you're kind of like, I should be able to do that whole job for X.
Yeah. Right. And back then I think we had told him a price and did it for a set price.
Somewhat, me and Mark's car.
Yep.
We kind of set a price, and I think we might have been just a little bit.
Just don't say what that price was on air.
Yeah, don't say what that was. It's kind of embarrassing now.
Here, Josh, pause it for a second. All right.
So what year? That was 2010, 11.
That car was done in 10 or 11.
10, yeah.
You did that car for $38,000.
I wish.
3,800.
It was under 20 grand.
Did you get all the material sponsored?
Good looking car.
Yeah, it was a great looking car.
That was one of the first LS9 cars, I think.
Yeah.
But like that's one of those cars that was huge because at that point it was the first car, big car for Mark, and he's like the pro touring godfather,
Yeah.
And
would you say your paint job put him on the map?
I think it probably.
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah,
I think for sure.
That same year he debuted the car, took it to SEMA.
It won Optima.
He won the Optima race, and it was successful. And then to this date, I think we've painted 5 or 6 cars for him.
He's just not doing painted cars that much anymore. He's
Unfortunately, no.
Both those cars were bad. When the Dale Jr. car came out, that's one of those cars that I just remember. There's only a handful of them, and that's one of them that was just so impactful in the paint, especially. The color certainly helped because it was vibrant.
Yeah.
But I remember the paint being like, it was like that was what all of a sudden made DSE a car builder. Like you saw that car and you're like, holy shit.
But how they integrated a
cool
finished
stuff.
car with race stuff. I mean, that gray interior and the 8-pillar tie bars to the roll cage stuff, it was just like...
Yeah, that Dove gray really tied
it. Just had big balls. Like when you saw it, that thing was just...
It was cool.
Badass.
Yeah. And I think that's where they finally, I think that was their big one, their big banger, was that car. They had done, obviously, I think they had one Street Machine with the yellow car before that. But that car, I think, was the one that really said, hey, we're here,
It doesn't hurt that it's for Dale Jr. either.
Well, no.
We're kind of hoping the podcast will take off once Josh can actually pony up and get Dale Jr. on the podcast.
Yeah. I'm telling you what, that him and there's a couple others that'll be my white whale. Like I don't think it can happen.
Who are the others?
I'm not going to talk about them until I can get them. But Dale Jr., I have tried hard. Charlie Hutton's one. Charlie Hutton just, for some reason, has, I think you said something about him at some point and hurt his feelings or something.
I can call Charlie Hutton right now. I'll bet you if I asked, he'd do it. He probably just doesn't like you. You're not his kind of guy.
Okay.
Charlie's a good fucking dude. That's the problem. Charlie's like just a nice, honest guy.
You are writing a check, buddy.
Okay. We'll see. I'll travel to him. We'll travel to him. I'd like to go to...
No.
Utah or
you
show
up. You said he was going to do the podcast.
That's all. He'll do the podcast.
Right.
The podcast might be at his shop, but he'll do it.
No, if Charlie can't come out here and do the podcast, then we'll still go to him. That's fine. Dale Jr. would be phenomenal. I'm a big NASCAR fan, specifically a big Earnhardt fan, and everything that he's done with his podcast is amazing.
He was always a big Earnhardt, and then I remember when Kyle, called him, he was like, "This is like."
Well, I was a big Senior fan, obviously.
Who isn't though?
I basically told my wife, I'm going to do that car, and if I don't have a job,
I don't care.
But then Kyle said, hey, if you don't have a job, you have one here. So I wasn't really worried I was going to have a job somewhere.
Right.
I just
kind
knew
of snowballed.
Snowballed.
Halfway through you doing the body and paint that car, they had a full-time painter at the time, and they brought him in to do it. And that guy really...
he tried sabotaging the job. He said he was going to spray, Armor all, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody heard it at lunch, and next thing you know...
Kyle's rolling his toolbox to the door, and
he was
gone.
It was just like this. And I flat out told him, I said, I'm not here to take your job. I'm going to do this car, and I'm going to go home. And it just, he just had it,
That's wild to have egos like that in a hot rod shop.
And especially as a painter.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Never.
You're usually the most level-headed.
I know. Calm.
Yeah. It's all the solvents they work with. Kind of mellows them out.
No drugs or alcohol ever involved.
But getting back to the original question you asked, I mean, I think we did stuff. I mean, obviously, I think everybody does stuff cheap when they're starting out. But I think taking that little amount up front just keeps you hungry. Just makes you get it done faster, I think. I mean, if you get all the money up front, it doesn't give you ambition.
Oh,
yep. I'd rather just take a little bit to cover what I need, and then just like building a house, and then when I'm done, you pay me. And instead of getting all the money up front, it just gives you no ambition to work on it. So that's
back then. You didn't have payroll, health insurance.
No, when it was starting out, it was
a little different nut to crack.
Different now with 20 people. So I mean, it's.
But that allowed us, it's doing those cars was like one person saw me do another one, and that was
that's where it kind of. One of the customers with the European collection, they saw one of Mark's cars at one of the Berger car shows, and then next thing you know, they're calling, and then we do that one car from Mark, and then we did the silver car with the orange stripe. That was at SEMA.
Did you guys go to SEMA when those cars went?
No,
I don't think we did. No,
at that point, I think the first time I went to SEMA was when we built my flat maroon car. It was the first time.
I think we might have went the year before that.
Did we?
I think we went the year that you guys brought the gray Charger that's downstairs. That's the first year we went.
Okay, be 2012 maybe.
You brought that car, and you brought the black.
That'd have been the car that Stilo's red car was there then, right?
Oh yeah, we were there when Hellfire was there. The one, the carbon stripe.
Yeah,
that was after that.
Yeah, you're right.
All right.
Yeah,
man, look at that pull.
That's impressive.
I know I'm
nice,
old,
nicely done.
Yeah. Oh, I'm interested in the SEMA thing too, because it's, foreshadowing. We're going to get to some other stories down later on in the podcast, but that if you were there when that car was there, you guys painted that car.
Yep.
It's being at SEMA for your first time is a big fucking deal.
Oh yeah.
Especially knowing that you did the work on Stilo's car. It's a big fucking deal.
At that point, I look back on it now. I think even like when we had my car there, I remember flying in, and at that point we had like one or two employees, and we brought them with us. And like at that point, you think you're just like,
you've made it.
I made it. Like I'm flying into Las Vegas. We got a car at SEMA that we worked on. Like this is it.
Waiting for that red carpet.
Yep.
The Dutch boys are here now. Yeah. That thing's like
have arrived.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm here.
But
hey,
guys. At that point, we were still doing just a lot of body and paint and things like that. And we never, we've always done body and paint, and that's his background, which I did too. But it kind of drove me to want to learn more of the car building side, the fabrication side, and do something different, and actually build a car and show what we could do. And we hadn't had that opportunity yet. So we did a couple of cars for the owner of Holly, body and paint. We did Troy's white Charger from BBT. Back in the early days. That was 2000. That's at the old shop.
That was the old shop, yeah.
Whatever year that was, but
yeah.
And then just really got the bug to build something that we.
You're going to get a little closer.
Something that we could do.
Apologize.
To show off what we could do. To build a whole car. So. And that was my flat maroon car that we did the second gen. So,
what year's that?
2015.
How big of a leap was that to just go from body and paint to we're going to go all in and build?
It was a total.
I didn't want to do it. I just want to paint cars.
He just always, and he still is like, we should just be a body and paint shop.
Was that in HRI or Optima?
That was in Holly booth.
Yeah.
Was it in Holly?
Yeah. So we were doing. I can't remember what car we were doing for the owner of Holly. I think it was the Mustang. And
the blue Mustang.
He had called me like
August.
Yeah, I just got married in August, so he called me like we got back from our honeymoon, and he's like, "Hey, I seen your second gen kind of there in bare metal. Like, I really want that in our booth at SEMA." And that was like the first time.
August.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of the same year.
Same year. I was a lot younger then, ambitious, but I was like, man. This is our opportunity
for sure
to build a car and show what we can do. But the problem was it was my own car, and I had to do the work, and I had to pay for it.
So you're telling me that you decided to put in the hard work, the sweat equity, the financial investment, all for an opportunity to show what you can do? Yeah. Holy shit.
That's something.
The theme, no matter how many people's origin stories and how many different weaves to success, it always comes down to the I had to make the decision to suck it up
it
and
took a long
take
time
a gamble on myself and show what I can do.
It took a long time to recover from that car too. Like I remember going at that point, I was 24.
Just got married.
And
you're telling your wife all these wonderful financial decisions that we're fixing to do.
Build a house, or
I remember hear me out on this. Going to the bank and applying for a loan, and they're like, "Well, how much do you want?" And my response was, "Well, how much
as I can get.
How much will you give me?" You know, and then I went and bought the motor, and I bought, and then we had some help with like some parts on it. We reached out to some vendors and stuff.
We were able to call most of the. We didn't have. Customers.
We had a lot of customers. We called doing a couple bills.
We had a few other bills, but we were able to call the customers, say, "Hey, this is the opportunity we have. We'd like to, we're going to shut everything down the shop, work on it, but your car is going to have to go on the back burner. We just want to make sure."
It was only for like 2.5 months, so it was still a big deal.
I just think you need to be upfront.
You do.
Be honest with people like that, and don't. And so we're paying all the employees. The few that we had, I think we had 3. Four, maybe
3 at that time.
So now you're your own customer.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're like, we got to start hurrying up. This thing's hurting.
So you're paying all your employees there. You're paying overtime to be there, and you're getting it done.
Yeah.
So I think I painted that car 2 weeks before SEMA.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are like, "Well, why that flat maroon? That's so sweet." Man, I love what you guys chose.
Didn't have time to wet sand above.
And it was like the only reason that car was flat is because there was no time to wet sand. It literally got painted like 2 weeks before SEMA.
A couple $100 hours.
It's like
it got painted the following week. It went to the interior shop and got it back 2 days before we left, and it was
literally it's the same story. A lot of us have done it.
They drove 20.
The truck didn't turn off from Michigan to Las Vegas.
They drove straight through.
It's just.
Looking back, was there like a clear thought process that we're going to do this? This is our chance. This is our opportunity. We're going to turn it into a business, or was it just like fuck yeah, we're going to be at SEMA. We got to build a car for it. We'll see what happens afterwards.
I think really thought that if we could show what we could do on a car, like a full build, it would just give us the street cred to.
Especially, you're trying to transition from paint and body go-to guys to a build.
And it did that. Like I remember doing that car, and the phone it blew up. It was all over the internet. We had a bunch of phone calls about it, and then like a year or so later, I went to sell it. I was going to sell it to that shop. At that time, the shop was growing, and I needed to buy equipment. So that whole car was built with like a Woodward Fab 3-in-1 like roller brake, like bend the trans tunnel over the tree, and And at that point, we hired a more talented fabricator after that. During that process and whatever. So it was like, okay, I need to sell the car. We need to buy some equipment. We need to grow the shop, and so on and so forth. So, anyways, Chris McPhee, as you guys know, he wanted to buy it. Him and I couldn't come together on agreement, and another customer of mine ended up buying it. But then Chris was like, "Hey, why don't you just build me a car?" And that was like the first opportunity of someone like
that's cool.
And he was just like, "Do it however you want. I don't even want to know.
I want to know what color it is.
I don't want to know what color it is. I want carbon fiber seats and carbon fiber wheels. And then don't tell me anything else. I want to be surprised at SEMA."
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
And he really
That's
is
some pretty serious trust thrown in.
Yeah, great guy to work for.
That's stressful.
Yeah.
Very stressful.
Yeah. It was stressful. I mean, we pulled that into SEMA, and we're just like, oh, great. And then Jim Ring come around over right away. He come over right away. He's looking at the car. He's like, this is nice. He's like, Chris is going to like this. I'm like, whew, thank God.
I remember you guys coming over and checking it out, too. Yeah. We rolled it in there.
This bitchin' car.
And that was cool. But yeah, that was like the opportunity for someone to... And those customers are far and few between. Like the Grand National was that way.
Yeah.
We don't have those customers. Like, there's not always those customers. Like, but like that was an opportunity. You're only as good as your customer allows you to be, and that was one of those opportunities that the customer was like,
"Do it,
Yeah. Like do this car as it was your car, and just go all, just do it."
I feel like this podcast is so interesting because we've like we don't really give business advice necessarily. We share a lot of stories of maybe
life advice,
maybe things that have worked, maybe things that haven't. But like to put that into perspective, like if you're giving somebody advice, I mean, you guys have got a great following. You built a beautiful shop, very successful shop, very well known. To go back and use that as like giving that as business advice, go to the bank, take out a loan, and then build yourself a 80s Camaro, right? And the rest is going to be 70s. Sorry, the rest is going to be history, right?
Yes.
There's no recipe, you know. You got to.
You can't frame it that way. You've just got to say, go bet on yourself, put your best foot forward.
Exactly.
The one thing is too, like there was a lot of struggles in between all that great story there. Like it wasn't just like build the car, showed up to SEMA, got home, checks are coming in.
Yeah.
You know,
it doesn't happen that way.
It didn't happen that fast, you know. And
it's perseverance.
But that was a big opportunity, and we've really dug our heels in, and we've met some great people along the way, and
well, I wanted
and a lot of our business has been risk taking. We've made a lot of connections where we've stuck our neck out, like, hey, we're gonna do this job and put our name with this customer or this shop and do this, and hopefully it pays off down the road. Like we're gonna kick the rock down the road and see. And there's some that weren't great, didn't plan out, and you look back on it, you're like, man, I really shouldn't have worked on that one.
Right.
But
you said something. You both touched on how daunting of a task it was with no clear direction. Right. Hey, do whatever you want to do. And I don't want to miss that opportunity to talk about that, there's guys out there that are listening and be like, oh, man, if I could just get to that opportunity. If somebody could just say, next or close to unlimited budget, I'm not going to tell you what it's going to look like. Just go. It's easy, not having been in that situation, to think that that's a great situation to be in, that's now freedom, right? That's now everything's easy. However, that's fucking hard because you have no frame of reference. Even more so than that, you guys are still new, right? So you don't know what you don't know, right? You haven't made all those mistakes on the 15 cars beforehand to be like, let's not try to do that because that shit don't fucking work, right? So the sky's the limit in your minds, the sky's the limit in the customer's minds, but then you also don't have that. Sometimes it's subconscious, but you have that frame of reference or that comfortability of like, I like these three things. I feel confident about it. Then the customer's like, oh, I really don't like that one, but I like these two. And then you can talk to them, blah, blah, blah. So along the way, you've got a teammate. You're like, well, I know that I like it, and the customer says he likes that color, he likes this design, he likes this style. So you don't have to worry about that, right? And then you've kind of got some guardrails. If you don't have any guardrails, it's like, well, what the fuck's going to look like? Like what color? Like maybe he hates that color, or what do we? That's probably a harder task than saying I want a bitchin' Camaro and I really like these three colors and let's kind of make it classic or let's make it racy. And then you kind of got, I always go back to the guardrails. It's like you can bounce off the guardrails, but at least it keeps you going the right direction. Yeah. If you just say, go drive whichever direction you want to, fuck, that's hard.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that, to be honest with you. If somebody's like, you just do it the way you want to do it.
Yeah,
hell yeah.
That's right.
Now,
now.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I mean,
and those customers are, like I said, they're far and few between. Yeah. Like, there's that's a full-time job for somebody in your shop. If you, whatever size your shop is, whether it's the owner doing it or you have a manager, like we do now, that just talks to the customer and goes over decisions, relays them to the staff, makes a plan. And then weekly, daily, whatever it is, like constantly going back, like, hey, we ran into this, or this is a problem, or how do you want to do this? Or, if we shave this and customize this, you're going to have to customize 5 more things. And then,
Yeah, it's definitely beats the alternative of somebody that's too involved in the project, because we've talked about that before all the time, that if you're going to a Dutch Boys, you're going to get a Dutch Boys car. If you're going to the Ring Brothers, you're going to get a Ring Brothers car. If you're going to Roadster Shop, you're going to get a Roadster Shop car. Don't come to the Roadster Shop and say, hey, here's a picture of a Ring Brothers car. I want this built. Exactly. Well, just go to the Ring Brothers and have it built, right? Well, everybody's got their thing. So if somebody's going to say, I want you to do it, but I'm going to manage and decide every little detail along the way, there's probably other shops out there for you. Because you take all the artisan out of all the designers, out of Jeremy, out of everybody on the shop floor, for any creativity. So you're not getting a creation, you're getting a car bolted together.
Yeah. And for us, I feel like we've only honestly really had that opportunity full 100% twice, and both times so far have been super successful. It was I remember growing up as a kid, and my life goal was like, I'm someday, just to be in competition with the guys that win Street Machine of the Year would be just over the top.
Yeah.
And then to build that, have the opportunity to build that car and then go out and win Street Machine of the Year was like, it was legit a bucket list. Like, okay,
I bet.
I can quit now.
I mean, I used to I remember when he was a little kid, basically. But I mean, I used to take him down to Indianapolis we go down to Good Guys down there, and we'd go to Adam Mark's back in the Adams Market. And we'd go up to Adam Mark Hotel on that Friday night or whatever, and you see, Troy rolling with his stuff, and then Bobby'd roll in for 4 or 5 of his cars. You'd be like, oh,
wagon wheels.
Those were the fucking days.
Horse-drawn carriages.
It was like one thing that I reference about
now.
Is like, as I was, a lot, pretty young at the time. I will never forget sitting. It was with you and my grandpa. We were sitting there, and the G-Force CUDA rolls in, and it's like, what is that?
We heard it come down the road first, and we're like, what?
This sounded wicked.
What the hell is that thing
And
coming
it was
down
like,
the road?
it was just like, as a young, I was like, I want that. I want to do that. I want to be able to build a car like that and have that opportunity.
Yeah.
And then we had that with the Camaro, and then the Grand National that we just come out with. Angela was pretty much the same way. It was like, just be creative, do what you got to do. And we put the right team people in place, like Jeremy Collison was involved with both cars, and just like go through the channels that you think are best fit to build the best car. And that's not always the possibility, but
right. Before we get to modern day and the Grand National and stuff, so we kind of skipped a portion of where it's like we took a gamble. We're going, where does this is full blown business. We gotta build a shop. We've got to put both feet in. We got to start hiring more people. When does those discussions start happening?
I think as the work came on, the more work.
When you built the Camaro, were you still renting the same pole barn?
The Big Fee's car or my car?
Your car.
No,
Okay.
We were in our first shop,
and I had quit my job full time.
Yeah, that was the first. He quit his job, and we moved. Obviously, he quit his job, and I had to move out of the pole barn I was renting from his boss. So it was kind of awkward, but
it was awkward.
So we rented a shop, and small shop was like 5,000.
No, it wasn't even that. I think it was 3,000 or so. I think it wasn't big. I mean, put a nice paint booth in one end, and we had a wall partition, and we did the body work on the clean in that side, and we had the paint booth and a buffing area next to that, and it was in an office.
And it was just like we hired one guy, and then hired another guy, and then
added on to that shop.
Yeah,
which we thought we were going to buy it, worked it out with the owner of the building, like, hey, I have a guy that wants to build this car. He said, if we do this car, you'd be willing to do the addition. It's still your building, but we were looking toward maybe buying the building eventually, anyways. And so we did another addition, basically doubled our square footage, and then we ran out of room again, basically. And then there was no more room to build anymore. And that's when it was time to find something bigger. Yeah. So which led us to where we're at now. So.
Yeah.
Where you're at now, the place looks phenomenal. Was that an existing building?
It was an old manufacturing company. The showroom there behind the car is new construction, but the main building was like a plastic injection place.
Yeah, the shop's beautiful.
It got completely gutted. I met a guy through a friend of mine who came to our old shop, and he kind of seen what we were doing. Yeah, it's the showroom there. That's where we do it was a showroom. Now we do all the final assembly in there. But he came to the shop, and I was starting to tell him what I was doing. Like, hey, I'm basically hauling cars and I had a pole barn at home, so I would like basically shuffle cars back and forth from home to the shop as we were working on them, and customers' situation or whatever, just moving cars around. And so we just didn't have room. And he is a big real estate guy and a friend of mine. And he's like, hey, I want to invest in you, and give you an opportunity to this building that I'm in, reconstruct it. We worked out a deal, and we moved down there. So we've been down there for 6 years now. Yeah.
So let's talk about the Grand National. Where's that? When's the call come in? How does that process start? That's another thing that I think younger builders or builders coming up, we always blow past like, how the fuck does it even happen? Like sometimes this shit is seeds that have been planted for years in the past, and sometimes it's happenstance at a show and stuff like that. So I'm always interested in that part.
So that's similar to what I said of like trying to do a good deed early on and hope it pays off later. That's how the Grand National worked out. We had bodyworked and painted a truck for the owner of the Grand National. It was being built at another shop, and we did the body and paint on it. And I met Angelo through that process, and him and I hit it off. He was very happy with how we ran our business and how we communicated and worked together. And that was probably 4 or 5 years prior to the Grand National coming to the shop. And then one day he just called me and was like, hey, I have this project, so on and so forth. I want you to build it.
Yeah. It started at another shop, which you had to go down to that shop and pick the car up.
Those are fun.
That's a good time.
Yeah.
So
those are my favorite.
So
like that car, he's in Florida. He wanted to be local to him being built. He's had cars built at a couple different shops. Obviously, Detroit Speed built him the white Camaro. Mm-hmm. So he wanted to try that, and it didn't work out. That is what it is. It was very early on. The car was up on a chassis table. They had a chassis under it and the floor cut out and some stuff done to it, but it was very early on, and I went and picked it up, and we basically cut it apart and threw everything in the trash. So
it's just a Regal. He should have just
got a body. If you were to click on
you basically ruined it. It's not a Grand National anymore.
Whatever video, there's probably ones on there that have like 5 million views on that one. I think the one guy posted it or whatever. Probably like 500 of the comments are about it just as a Regal.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's just a Regal. But
was it a real Grand National as far as
it was. Yeah. But it was like, that's what people like. I don't understand the hate. I guess I'm not a big Grand National guy, but Angela bought that car at an auction, and it was supposed to be something, and it turned out it wasn't. Okay. His business partner had read the mileage on it, and he thought it was one thing, and it wasn't. It turned out it had like two. It started like, it was like, instead of like 20,000 miles, it was like 200,000 miles. So he's like, let's just
cut it up.
Cut it up.
That's what we did.
Well, we remember seeing it at DEI's booth at SEMA year before last.
Yeah.
In Bear, and great spot too, right there, walking
front and
center.
It was a sweet spot.
That was another opportunity. Same thing. It was like we thrashed on to get it there too.
Yeah.
To take in a Bear mount, that was super
risky,
weird for us. Like I wouldn't say we're known as a fabrication, like high-end fabrication, even though we have really talented guys. We build that car, obviously, but like we've always been known for the paint and body, and I thought that was a cool opportunity to show something in the raw.
Yeah, Mike Ring came up to us. He's like, man, you guys got some big ones to bring that car in bare metal like that. And I'm like, well,
it was cool. Like,
but
it was the same thing.
The response, it was pretty cool.
It was. I think we gained a lot more respect from other builders than like it got us a bunch of business. I would say, like, it was cool. Like, you guys, other people that I've admired over the years to come up and be like, holy shit, man.
A couple guys from Rad Rides came by and they were talking to our fab guys.
Who's that?
Adam and Corey, I think it was.
I've never heard of them.
They're local shop. There's a bunch of shops around there.
No, to have those guys
oil
come
changes
by
and stuff
was,
like that.
Yeah.
You know, those guys. I mean, my guys. It was a big shot in the arm for them. I mean, they look up to those guys, and you know, obviously, guys like we were talking. I mean, years ago. I mean, when we were just getting started. I mean, we did a Camaro, and we thought it was nice. You know, it wasn't really getting any attention, but. You know, obviously, I knew Mike Ring, and Mike and Jim came by and looked at it, and they're like, God, this thing is just beautiful. Don't just keep doing what you're doing. It'll pay off for you.
Mm-hmm. I remember them saying, like, just keep doing what you're doing.
Keep doing what you're doing. You guys are doing it right. And, you know, so here we are, you know. So, I mean, it's always pretty cool to get that kind of, input from guys like that, who you look up to, obviously, you know. And it's a big shot in the arm for you. Sometimes because you feel like, I'm not getting where I want to be. Do I just go do it back to the body shop kind of thing, you know? So
how do you spin that into motivating you to build the next one better? We've talked about it a few times. It's you build one, you think you're the king of the world, and then it's like nothing comes of it, and then you got to go motivated to get back in the shop and
what's next?
Build the next one, and then kind of keep building that library and reference of work.
Stuff comes from it. It's just you got to wait for them. You got to wait for that little. That takes 6 seasons for that little sprout to pop up. And you're like, oh, I remember planting that seed. Damn.
Yeah.
And on top of all of it too, it's one thing that I really, I'm on the business side of it too, quite a bit, or pretty much everything. You know, he's in the shop 100% of the time. You know, I love to work in the shop, but those days have kind of come and gone, I feel like, and focus on the business and it being a successful business and making money. So not only building a badass car like that is being a profitable business. There's a lot. I feel like up until I'm guilty of it, and I think it's one thing that it's too easy to do. It's up until probably the last couple of years for me. It was like I just want to be somebody. I want to win a trophy, or I want to do this or that.
Have you not cashed those trophies yet? You can take them to the bank.
What bank was that?
Yeah, this is a special bank. Yeah, tons of money from them trophies.
And don't get me wrong, we still all like to win a trophy, you know.
Can't pay a bill with it.
But to be a successful business is a big thing. So
you come, you show it in bare metal. Now you're like, oh wow, SEMA's over. That's awesome. Now you've got exactly 1 year to finish that car, and it's not like once you've said, hey, we're debuting at bare metal and we're coming back next year with it finished, it's not one of those things of like, maybe we won't make it this year. No big deal. Like it's.
Yeah, you kind of have to.
Yeah.
A year is not.
A year is not a lot of time.
Yeah, but in November and December, it's a long time.
Years, wasn't it?
Was it 2 years?
I think it was 2 years.
Did we skip a year?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then
from the outside looking in, it felt like
then that story makes no sense.
Yeah, so that wasn't really impressive.
Did y'all really skip a year?
Yeah, we did.
Well, Jeremy Carlson had it for like 8 months. So, we had a year.
Dude, typical Carlson. Fucking Jesus.
Yeah.
He was applying chapstick for at least 5 months out of that 8 months.
Oh, wow.
That one hurts. That's a tough dig right there, man.
So when it's done, right? You got a prime spot. You're doing an unveil. You know, I'm sure Mark took care of you for the HRI spot. Yeah. Got a great spot there. That's a moment, right?
Oh yeah,
it's
huge.
What's going through your head prior to the unveil?
Well, Angelo hadn't even seen it.
Oh, has he not?
He hadn't even been in the shop, so I mean, he hadn't really. I mean,
I held on. I teased
him with some pictures.
Yeah, I held out on him pretty good.
Yeah,
so that was really cool. The response that car got and the buzz, like when the unveil started happening, the crowd and like how deep it was. Like I remember looking up and being like, "Holy shit!" You know, like this is insane. And then seeing Angelo there and he got emotional and it made it all worthwhile.
That's an awesome first viewing for the customer to see everybody's response along with his, and that's gonna be pretty special.
Let's comment. Cool Regal.
Cool Regal.
When they stay on your own like personal social media, they usually do pretty well. When they get out to the masses, when like a G body something picks it up, that's when they go sideways.
It's awesome. Yeah. And Angelo, like, I love him. Like, he lights people up. Like, if you go see some of those comments, like, he'll just talk so much shit to people.
I was going to try to find somebody saying negative just so we could talk shit to him. There's nobody on there.
Yeah. But it was cool. And like, on top of that, too, like, there's a couple different instances at SEMA this year for me. It was like aha moments even at this point in our business. Like, for me, like, I never really talked to Alan Johnson. I've admired him a lot over the years.
Nobody's really talked to him for long.
And I knew that. He's not a man of many words. Right. But I'm standing there, and I'm like on cloud nine. Everybody's talking to me, and it's starting to thin out. And he taps me on the shoulder. He said, "You did good, kid." And I was like, "Holy shit!" That's cool. And then,
oh damn, you look who's looking in the door right now.
Who's that? Oh yeah,
that's Chris Ashton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see it. I can see and I can hear Alan saying that.
It was awesome, And,
what did he sound like?
You done good, kid.
That's way too hillbilly.
For Alan?
And then obviously the Ring Brothers, they had debuted their Grand National, and it was after ours, and like Mike just would not stop coming over and being like, "I'm not pulling the cover off ours. You guys are insane." Yada yada. He was sending people down to our car. Like they'd be like, Mike Ring told me to come down here and check out your Grand National. It was like, it was pretty awesome because I remember meeting those guys way back in the day and admired them, and
when they could still get around.
Yeah,
without a cane.
Yeah, Mike's got new knees.
He does.
He's all good.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. So
yeah, that is super cool. I mean, they're great dudes, and it's it had to be a tough position to be in because that fucking car is super badass. I mean, the Rings Grand National's sick, right? But this car was definitely, it was a step up, and it really is.
He goes, that's just not next level. It's like 2 levels. He just kept saying, he goes, that's just.
I was a little bit deflated, honestly, like about maybe a little more than that, 3 weeks before SEMA. They had dropped that they're bringing a Grand National, and I was like, oh, because you just like not discrediting that there isn't a great car, but I'm like, oh, dude, the Ring Brothers, they're gonna bring we're gonna that's gonna totally deflate what we're doing, and one of my main fab guys and their fab guy were talking back and forth and starting to kind of talk a little shit back and forth, this and that, and then we brought that car out, and then to have those guys come over and be like, yeah, this thing's on a different level than ours. I was like, no. I was like, no.
It was.
You should have talked shit to them. They appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm a details guy. I geek out over details, and the details and the finishes and the textures and the stuff like that, specifically under the hood. Man, that one, it did it for me.
It's one of the better engine bays I've seen. Yeah. Honestly, the engine bay on that car is just so sick.
It's a tough thing to go with a traditionally like kind of a masculine, for lack of a better word, masculine hardcore race badass, and then under the hood go so refined, almost a street rod, for lack of. I don't have many terms, right? I only know like 6 words. So
you're right. It's like a perfect blend of like a street rod, like a street rod Detroit AMBR, Slonaker mixed with,
but still look fast,
kicking ass and going fast.
Well, it's kind of like when you bring a car to that level, it's like it has to fit the high end luxury. Like if someone's gonna spend that much money, it needs one-off wheels, it needs one-off this, and like. It's just a different level. Our builds are, if you look at a lot of our builds, our style is very mechanical, race car type vibe. And that car has that, but it needed to have more of like a expensive look to it, I would say. But my big thing too is I don't like to take away from the car. Like there's some stuff on that car that people are like, oh, how come you didn't put flush quarter glass? And then it's like, I don't like flush quarter glass.
Right.
But if you were to look at the quarter glass on that car and go look at another Grand National, you would see the difference. I have a ton of time in seam sealing with flexible seam sealer and sanding and flexible priming and sanding and painting
to make the gasket look like it.
Good. Yeah. You know, and then the one piece window trim, I took factory trim, welded it together, body worked it, fit it to the car. Yeah. So if you look at that car, the one piece trim, like I like the trim and I like the rear bumper, the front bumper. We made all that trim and got rid of the rubber.
I mean, that's such
I like that stuff.
It's an iconic car. Like it's
Yeah, I like all those details too. It's one thing. There's a time and a place. Certain cars call to just
get
lose
rid of it. Yeah.
But you're right. It's cool. We've done it where we've welded all the trim together and smoothed it all out and painted it satin, and it looks bitchin'.
Yeah.
It's a great trick. It's a pain in the ass.
Oh yeah, it sucked.
But
I did it when the car was painted too.
Even bigger pain in the ass.
We had fit all the. It's like you guys know it. Everyone would be lying if they didn't say like you're building a car and you try to do it the right way, and then you still get it. You start putting it together and you're like, oh, I don't like that, or that kind of sucks. And we had body worked all the trim in the car and everything, and I put the trim on. I'm like, man, that still looks kind of shitty.
Yeah.
And I'm like this is like a week before SEMA I did that, and he came in one night. And he's like, "What are you doing?" I literally cut off wheel and cut the trim. He's like, "What are you doing?"
Sanded and buffed at that point.
Car's all painted.
It's all painted. It's going together, and I got the car all taped up, and I'm like backfilling body filler on the paint. It's everybody does it. You'd be lying if you didn't say you do it. It's just
it's just.
But it was one of those details. I'm like, and even he's like, he does it all. He's like, man, that looks good.
Well, just Mike, our fab shop foreman. I mean, he's responsible for so much of that underneath the hood. I mean, he CAD designed all those parts under the hood. He did the turbo covers, and he heated them up with a torch and put that bronze look at them. And then he did all that trim on the bumpers on a router. I mean, he's just one of the many of the talented guys that worked on it. But I mean, he stepped up on that engine compartment. That's pretty much his baby, or pretty much what you say. I mean,
yeah.
Here you go. You're not commenting right now, are you? Oh, I thought you were going back. Are you going back to B-Boy Dave?
Josh is
drunk talking shit. Yeah, he's drunk dialing people over here.
I haven't read a lot of the comments, but I have skimmed through some of them.
B-Boy Dave says, Joe, Paul, and the Dutch Boys crew really raising the bar on this one. And I said, the bar has to be raised when you walk into the room, you tall ass.
I get a text.
These are like 10-year-old
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool.
Suck.
Like,
yo, you mean to go 21-year-old?
We had a lot of positive comments, I feel, in that car. A lot of texts, a lot of messages, a lot of cool response in that car. You're building it. You don't think you're wondering what it's going to do. If it's going to do anything. You think it's cool, but you look at it every day. And
So what are you thinking when you're coming to the party? The Roadster Shop party that, no.
He's probably thinking free drinks.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Vegas, free drinks.
No, I think we pretty much figured that obviously can dig it. I mean, that car's.
It was kind of like I knew.
It's like,
in the back of my mind, I was thinking like, man, that'd be cool to be, when we were at finals, man, maybe we have a shot at this. And then there was one night earlier that week, I was like, oh shit.
That's what we said the same thing.
Dave's car is a custom chassis too. I'm like, there goes that.
Yeah, that happened.
And I wasn't like totally deflated, but I'm like, man, this is that car is like literally the best car we've ever built to date. And it's like, fuck, how are we gonna do better next time?
That's exactly. I mean, we can let everybody know behind the curtain fully,
behind the scenes.
So
how this shit goes down.
So we said the same thing, right? Exactly the exact same way. It's like, fuck, right? I mean, you can't. There's not a single flaw you can find in Kindig's Corvette, right?
No, that's a once in a long time.
That's one of those like generational cars.
It's a generational car, right? Yeah. So it's kind of one of those things. It's like,
it wasn't like I was offended. Like, you see a car that's similar quality. There's a lot of cars that are that quality.
Like if we pick, so if we pick the Ring Brothers car,
I would be
pissed. Would you be pissed?
Yeah.
Fuck those old ass
Josh would have texted me, come on the pod, like, go fuck yourself.
Still sick.
But So, you know, we're sitting there and we're like, just like you said, that is 100% the best, not only the best car that you guys have ever built, it's one of the best cars that's been built in the last several years, right? So you're just like, the car's one of, if not the nicest cars at SEMA, right? But you can't like tell Kendig, be like, oh, fucking Riddler's good enough, right? Yeah. We've you know, it's the fucking best car there.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
So
absolutely.
We're sitting there at dinner. It's just the three of us, you know, and we're going back and forth, you know, and this is an hour and a half long, right? And you're kind of like,
we put a lot more effort into this than I think
nobody really realizes that.
We were phoning friends. I mean, I called Jesse Greening. He wasn't there, and I'm like, there were things I was bouncing off of him.
Yeah,
and he was super thorough with a lot of stuff too, like giving me like super detailed feedback, you know.
Yeah, it comes down to you know, when we're talking about get one to the 5, you know, and stuff like that. There's way more than 5 that are vying for that, you know, and you start narrowing it down, and then everybody's got opinions. We have our entire staff that's in it, and like you said, you're phoning friends, you get their stuff. You try to get as much information as you possibly can, and on the best on the rest side of things, you know, it's been one thing, right? We invite more than one person,
and a plethora of people.
We invite a shit ton of people, right? And we want to have those guys in. And
happen to try to sound smart.
There's never a limit of like, oh, we're gonna have a top 3 or a top 5 of best on the rest, right? If there's 2 cars that we think are fucking badass, we'll invite 2, right? If there's 7, we're gonna invite 7.
Yeah.
But we go into it knowing kind of like what the winner is. So we're sitting there and we back and forth, and it's an obvious thing, but at the same time we're conflicted. It's like, this is not right because your car is that fucking badass. If you take Riddler out of it, and if that car didn't show up, your car is the best car there. But the car did show up. But at the same time, it's like, so that's when Jeremy's like, he said flat out, he's like, this is our award. We can do whatever the fuck we want. We can give 2 of them. We can 100% give 2 of them. And then it was kind of like, well, all right, well, we can do that. We can tell them we're going to think. And Phil's like, I got an extra one. I brought an extra one. Like, you've got to. Everybody thinks that it was planned.
Yeah, runner up to Dave is okay.
It was, no, we didn't do runner up.
I know, I just like it.
Specifically didn't do runner up.
Yeah.
And it was worked out. Instantly when he said it, we were kind of like, oh.
First, you guys wanted to look
Mom and Dad aren't home. Yeah, we can eat all night.
You're fucking stupid. And then they're like,
I think
we can do everything.
Yeah.
I think it was even cooler for my side of the experience, it going down like that, because...
What's going through your head when we announced it? Because obviously you're like, okay, I get it.
So
but
going in there, like in the back of your mind, you're like, maybe they won't give it to him. But like at that point in the party, you're like, it's like you see Dave, he's there, this and that. You're like, it's a given. Like, so you write that off. But not that I wasn't having a good time already.
Right.
But then when it got announced and it started getting announced, I'm like, holy fuck.
So you guys were completely surprised, right?
No.
Like I had people behind me, my wife's there.
Standing by the stage, we were just down there all hanging out, and all of a sudden they were like,
everyone starts grabbing me and this and that. I'm like, holy shit! Like, and it would have been more surprising. It was more surprising that way than like if Dave wasn't there and we showed up at the Grand National and I've been like, yeah, it's probably the nicest car here. Yeah. And then when I would have rather have it the way it was, honestly, because it was like,
that's cool.
I was just totally surprised. That was cool.
It is well deserving. You talking about the things you start telling yourself in your head, right? We've all been there. We've all been to those shows, and everybody's, oh man, nice car, oh fucking awesome, and in your head you're like, I've got this, I found that thing wrong, and you're doing all the like calculations, like Goodwill Hunting in your head, and you're like, oh, we've absolutely fucking got this. That's the worst possible situation to be, is start building yourself up in confidence, and then you buy into the fucking hype because everybody else around, oh man, you got this, oh man, you got this, and that's the time you get bit right in the fucking ass. I'm bringing that up because well, the episode's coming up, but anyway, we were at Grand National and talking about Troy's, so we're looking at Troy's car, and it's one of those things. It's like, all right, cool, so like they can go ahead and give it to you now, right?
Yeah.
That car is winning.
Yeah.
And he's like, you never know what's going to happen. You know, I'm like, yeah, I get that. But in this situation, yeah, there you guys are. Yeah.
It was cool. A couple of guys from the shop were there, and they came up. They thought that was pretty. It was epic, but having them there too, and Angelo up there, that was really cool.
Yeah, it was the first time.
He looks like he was having a good time.
That was the first time I ever met Angelo.
Yeah,
he seems like a pretty cool dude.
Yeah, he's super cool.
He didn't have no problem telling everybody what he had in it.
No.
I was like, oh shit,
dude,
that's how much we have in it? Fuck.
That's good for you though. Now they know the budget. That's the kind of custom. The next guy that comes in, he knows what to expect.
Yeah, I think everybody clinched up when he asked. Like,
I was like, Sean.
Angelo's like, fuck it. Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
We've had so many people messaging, asking like, "What does it cost to build that car? I want to buy it, this and that." And
yeah, watch the video.
Dude,
I'll tell you.
There's a lot of work in that car, and that's completely not out of line.
And completely, honestly, they're like, we shaved hours out of that car.
I'm sure.
You know.
Yeah.
Like everything's logged through T-sheets. I could pull my phone out right now and show every hour that's clocked in that car, and it is north of 10,000 hours.
Yeah. I mean, you can see that car is loaded. I mean, the one we did, I know where we're at in it, and we didn't do a fraction of the work that's in that. Like that's a high-hour car for sure, but it shows. Yeah. People have put a lot of hours in this stuff, and it sucks.
Yeah,
like you put a lot of hours into it, and it's badass. So
I mean, not trying to discourage, but I think that obviously the market's shifting big time, right? Customers are changing demographics, right? All the shops across the new rate, everybody's looking for the next new thing, right? So 80s and 90s shit it's not coming, it's here. Right? It's full blown here, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Everybody always talks in inner circles. Everyone's like, oh man, this will be so much easier, right? Everybody's gotten so accustomed to 60s, 70s cars and the way they go together. But at the same time, they also go together a lot different than 80s and 90s cars.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if anybody's ready for how fucking hard these cars are to build.
They're harder.
There's a lot of shit that goes into them.
But you're left with the same inherent problems. Like you take a Mopar, like a 70s Mopar, and the door latches, the hinges, and the handle, it's always going to, and the window regulator mechanisms, it's always going to sound the same closing. Yeah. No matter how high end you make that car, until you start cutting the latches and shit out. Like you take our Grand National, it's still stock latches and stock handles and stuff. And the car's bitching and it does really awesome things. But
sounds like a G body.
But it still has that. Yeah, it still has that G body. I mean, the window's still G body, right?
Yeah.
There's
windows. They should be able to be tight. That's a good tightening mechanism in those doors.
If you want to elevate that, I mean, you got to go to the level you did. Yeah. Right. But those cars, they've got the same challenges. But to your point, there's a lot of things that are more challenging.
They're new.
Yeah.
It's new. Right. And it's also stuff that's not just like anybody that's been in the business long enough, it's either metal, right, or bodywork. Cut it, weld it, plate it, paint it.
Now you got plastic.
Now that's little different things, right? There's different materials. You talking about the quarter glass window stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like they've been spending a shit ton of time perfecting, those molds on the window glass rubbers.
And you cannot, and that car had like shitty quarter glass in it. And apparently, that's the first 80s car we've done that new. And honestly, I've never really cared for Grand Nationals and G bodies. It wasn't my thing. That was really hard to get into.
The fuck's wrong with
how to make that car cool. But like to your point, you can't find. Apparently, quarter glass for Grand National is like a unicorn.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Is it different than any of the other Regals?
It's just fucking Regal.
G-body's G-body.
You can't buy it aftermarket.
Dude,
you gotta
come down to the south side of Chicago.
Oh yeah, just
fucking him.
No, it would make sense. That's the easiest one to bust out and go in there and pop out if you're gonna boost a car.
You think there's reproduction?
Yeah, there should be a big market for it.
I think they ran them out. They ran out. There's
shit weird to find. But like what I was saying is like when we were commissioned to do that car, it wasn't like, oh yeah, I can't wait to build a Grand Nat. Like that's gonna be what like it was more.
I'm with you.
You're kind of like, what the fuck are we gonna do?
It was more like Angelo's a great guy. I've worked with him before. this is going to be an opportunity for us to showcase what we can do. But there was numerous times in that build, even when it came down to the final finishes, like the black chrome on the hoops and this and that, I was like trying to keep it 80s styling, but like not overdo
What did you
stuff.
Yankees fucking do in the 80s and 90s? Really?
What's that?
What did you Yankees do in the 80s and 90s? What were you into? You
four-wheel drive trucks, I think.
Really?
Novas.
Square bodies,
No
OBS.
No G bodies?
No.
Fox bodies?
I wasn't into the. No, we were in. I mean,
we were a
I was
later
into,
generation
I was into
than you.
older shit. So like newer current stuff. There was no car that you looked at that was like a high performance car that you thought was cool. Like I didn't like the IROCs. I was into 60s and 70s muscle cars, but for the current stuff, an OBS pickup it was a great vehicle. They looked cool. It was a tough looking truck.
But like Angelo, when the story from him was he had always wanted a Grand National. He went to the dealership with his dad, and there was a Grand National, and there was a Monte Carlo, whatever, and he wanted his dad to buy that Grand National, and he's like, we left with the Monte Carlo, and he always wanted one of those cars, and that was like his, what he chased, and in mine, with growing up with him, with his cars or whatever, like it just wasn't. So it was like when we did that car, I was like, man, how are we gonna make this thing cool in my eyes?
I 100% like am with you because we did the one for Scott. I was the same way. I've never been a G body guy my whole life, and a great customer. He'd done some really cool stuff with. Love him. He's fucking awesome. He wanted to do it, and I'm like, and I'm like a pleaser, so I have a hard time.
I'm starting to put together pieces now. We can talk about it off air, but now I get why I like the things that Scott likes.
Yeah, we both know. But I'm looking
Never mind.
and I'm like,
forget my
I'm like, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
we'll do it.
that. We can
and
make
then
that sweet.
And he's
then
like, bro,
click. I'm like,
it's like, bro, I found a car. Let's fucking do it. Let's buy this fucking car. And then it sets in that you're like, oh, okay, we gotta build this car. And when you're working with a great customer, you want to make sure you're
make him happy.
You're not going to half-ass it. So then you get it. And then I start looking at it as though like, okay, well, how do we make it cool?
Yep.
Yeah. But I like that car. I like your car. I've now become maybe more of a G body fan because you see they look sinister going down the street. I never liked them.
Never been like my thing is like when we got into that car and doing it, like I can see I realize why you never see those cars like slam down, sitting right.
You can't.
It's because you can't.
You can lower that car. You can lower that car about a quarter inch.
Because like we had to build custom trunk engines in that car to move them in, to raise the tubs, to get it to sit that.
You could
low.
put super small OD tires and wheels on it and hammer it down the ground. That's what you used to do in NASCAR.
13-inch 100 spokes.
And that's what kind of led us to build the chassis on that car. Is it had a. We won't name the brand chassis.
We can name it. Yeah. I mean, it's fine.
It has
a safe space.
Yeah.
And you throw the softball.
And it just was kind of been cut up and cannibalized a little bit, but it had the rails there, the perimeter rails and the crossover and this and that. So we're just like, we ended up just cutting it up. And
so it had like what, like a crossover, like a piece that connected the shocks in the front?
Yeah.
Okay. So one connected to the other.
Like conduit?
They had like hoops. Yeah. And then connected. Okay.
Is there a chassis manufacturer that's known for that?
Yeah, I don't know. But so anyway, you took that one out and then you built something.
I know. I know.
So we literally cut the front clip off and cut the back off and then
bought a bunch of mandrel bends.
We sourced a bunch of mandrel bends and
so you cut the front off and the back off. So you kept
two pieces.
The main center section.
All right, so you kept some
the primer chassis.
Right, the
it wasn't like we saved him a bunch of money by it.
So you kept the rocker reinforcements.
Yes. Yep.
All right, got it.
Yep. Yeah. And we built the rest of the chassis.
Probably came down a good 8 to 10 inches ride height.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, you got that thing slammed. I mean, that was where because we started off doing like kind of a budget-ish build, and there's definitely a threshold on those cars as to how low you can go before it becomes really challenging.
Yeah.
And you went like past that.
Yeah, so
threshold.
we Z'd the front. Now you guys obviously know chassis and build them, but we Z'd that up and we kicked the rear frame rails up and really made it so it will drive and ride in full lock to lock and work that low. But the amount of time that is in doing that is, that's a big part of that 10,000 hours is building that chassis. So
I apologize. I've got to go. I got to take a pee break.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just.
You want us to wait for you, or you want us to just keep rocking and rolling?
You know what? You do what you think's right. How about that?
Okay.
So Josh,
that motherfucker. Dude, I got to tell you that that car though, I love it. Like I really do, because it having intimate knowledge of one, just doing one, like you would expect to see, like at least in my mind, it's burned into my mind that it's got to be like very Grand National, very stock, very like mimicked of what was there. And as far as you changed it, like the wheels and things, it's something you would have never thought of, but it works and it looks so fucking bitchin'.
I feel like we're yet to have seen the multiple Grand Nationals that are about to be modified that get taken like
too far.
Yeah. Like they're painted funky, or they got weird body mods, or this or that. And that's what I didn't want with that car. It needed to, like, the hood scoop on that car is literally the same design as the factory one, but it's like way bigger.
Yep.
If you look at it, like, I feel like the factory one of those cars, the hood is gigantic.
Yeah, it's a
and
little,
this hood scoop is tiny. Lonely. So we, made that. There's just like different thing proportion wise that we did differently. But there's cool things about that car. Like, I had numerous people came up to us and they were like, "Man, that grill that you guys machined is sick." And we're like, "Oh yeah, it's the stock grill is great. It's a great grill.
It works out really well."
But in like the taillights in that car, there's stock taillights. There's just things that we did leave alone, but there's things that
there's things that work, and then there's things that just are very challenging. I mean, like Josh brought up the plastic stuff.
Yeah,
I mean that's going to be the major challenge where you get into the Camaros, the Fox bodies. I mean, that right there, that's like step one. You want to take it to that next level. You're instantly hand fabricating all that, because there's what do you do? I mean, you're the body and paint guy, right? Well, so how do you make it fit good?
A lot of flex agent.
The biggest problem is if you leave it that way, you can paint it up real nice, but once it gets out in the sun for a year or two, then it starts moving around. And it looks terrible. That's why I think if you go back to, I mean, obviously sheet melt's a ton of work, but once you do it, it's going to be a long term. It's not going to be moving around, and should look good for 15, 20 years, probably.
Forever, if you do it right.
Forever,
yes, hopefully.
Yeah.
Big step up from tucking the bumper on a 69 Camaro, where you're like, oh, that's going to be like 40 hours worth of work to, we're going to scratch build this entire front bumper.
Yeah. Right. And then start changing body lines. Like, that was one thing that we've done a couple of times on other cars, is like changing a couple party lines where you wouldn't notice unless you looked at another one. If you looked at that car and you saw the couple different intersection of lines on the front of that car, even on the back of the car, it looks natural. Where if you looked at another Grand National, you would be like, "Oh, okay, I see." But people never notice it.
I've actually had people ask if we've lengthened the doors on it because the car is so low, it looks like the doors are longer. I don't know. I just had people say that. I'm just like, okay,
Well, that's cool. The proportion of car to make it look different in those ways.
Right.
Are you ready to get started?
Yeah, we waited.
We sat here in silence.
Yeah, dude, I mean, there's no way this show could go on without you. So.
Oh man, I appreciate you doing.
We sat here. We didn't say anything.
That's right.
Nothing bad about you.
Yeah, 100%. All right, Grand National. What's coming next? What's in the works?
A lot of stuff. This year for us, I feel like it's going to be a big year. We have 2 69 Torinos that are finally coming out.
Oh, those are on good chassis.
Yes.
Yeah. So hopefully we could be in tension for best on RS.
Sweet.
So that would be cool. And I think that's another story that I think should be revisited after this one, of like why we've used the rest before.
Okay.
I think we should revisit that because I think that's a good story.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, we fucking hit it right now.
Yeah.
Just get it. Let's get it.
I can't wait.
But I think we should revert back to the stuff that's coming out this year, though.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's not forget about that.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think like it's close enough to the story of like why, like where we started at. It's him going to Detroit Speed and working there. And then when I was younger, during that time, Kyle approached me when I was a young kid at that time. And he said, I want, when you get to that age, I want you to come work for me. And I thought that was like the coolest thing ever. I really idolized Kyle, and I still do. He's a great guy. And it just formed that loyalty for a long time, and it is a great product.
Loyalty, honestly, it's cut to the chase. Loyalty is the most important thing, and we all joke, and we all, we're all hungry, and we all want to be the best, and we all want, everything. And loyalty is the most important thing. We got great friends and current customers that were loyal for a long time to other people, and that's what you got to do, And you're loyal until it comes a time that you either don't have to be anymore, right?
Right.
Or you can't be anymore. But until that, there's no. I mean, we want the same thing from our customers. We want you to be fucking loyal. I don't want you jumping all over the fucking place for no reason.
And like I said, it always was a great product that served us good, and I really still to me, one of my still, if I was to look back on like an idol of mine, it would be Kyle Tucker. Like how he carries himself. We all know Kyle.
He's a good looking dude. Good looking dude.
And
we've joked about it for years that Kyle's like a flawless human being.
He's just,
I mean,
like getting to spend time.
We've
with
made
him.
other jokes.
Well, let's careful.
I'll never forget. I wasn't even.
It's unknown flaws. It's no visible flaw. There's got to be something. There's not a guy that's that good looking, that talented, and that nice.
He's like the perfect height. It's just like everything.
He's got something.
Yeah.
Did we talk about web feet for Kyle, or is that somebody else?
You might have brought it up.
I think there's got to be something.
But to your point, Kyle's an awesome.
Like I just remember the opportunity. We were down there. I went down there during the summer and worked with him and lived in an apartment with him and worked at DSE. And I just thought that was like my dream job. That was great. And then when I went down there and worked with him during the summer, and we lived in this little tiny apartment, and we worked these crazy hours, and it was once I did it, I was like, this isn't what I want to do.
Now you realize why Kyle retired and got the fuck out, right?
Yeah. And now I'm in that football, But I just remember, at a young age, like him flipping me the keys to a test car and like, hey, go to lunch or go to this.
Him and my wife, they came down. We were doing that orange car, and he flipped him. Well,
just different things like that. And when you're at that age, it like digs that hook into you.
Yeah.
Like this is like these
it does, dude.
Like this is
absolutely does.
So that was a big part. And
Kyle should be one of the greats. He should be.
He is one of the greats. Yeah. He is.
You get people look a lot at like Boyd Coddington or like all these the street roddy guys or like the guys that make loud, wild, like in your face stuff tend to get a lot
careful.
of
Think about it. Before you go so hard, I know you're ready to go.
I'm not going hard at all.
Right.
No, I'm just saying that stuff's more front and center.
Yeah.
Like to give people credit. You talk about like we were just out at the Grand National Roadster Show. They're doing like Hall of Fame stuff. At what point do people recognize a guy like that? Because what he's done is it's amazing. I mean, he's a game changer for the industry.
Kyle's old, but he ain't old enough to be Hall of Fame. You gotta have some white hair.
He's getting white hair. Last time I saw him, it's fucking coming in strong.
It's coming in strong.
At that age of like,
he's gonna love that.
I built him up first.
Yeah, you're right.
No,
I knocked him down one peg.
Yeah, we're back to just even.
And I think it was good for him to be down there with me for that short time. I mean, he got to see that whole culture that him and Stacy that kind of put together down there. And
it's different to see. It's got to be a different mentality. Not running a hot rod shop, having your mind. I would love to do a shop, but also being one that is ran probably one of the best in the industry at that time, and the business side of things.
Yes.
There's a lot of them that I mean, you guys know that ain't run like that.
No,
that's a goal. That's a pretty lofty goal of like, we're going to start a hot rod shop and we want to be like DSE.
And I think we really modeled our business. If you look at a lot of our build styles and how we have that like I said, like going down there and working down there and being part of like their brand for a long time, we model our business a lot after that and our style and things like that. And after working at like a body shop or this or that, then going and working at a place like that, you realize like how you should treat your employees, how you should run your business, how you should interact with the customer. You see the differences, how people do it. And those are all life lessons that I feel like have added to where we are today.
Oh yeah.
I got a question then. If you modeled it, and this could probably a little inside joke, what color do you paint your jack stands?
Red.
Completely red, or you two-tone them?
Two-tone them.
They better be facing the right way when you put them on the shelf.
They got
I'm telling you.
He's put them on wrong.
But I have like a weird obsession of like the shop organization and cleanliness and like dialed in. And I feel like that's the same thing has added to where we are. We had, I think it was the Barrett Jackson road tour.
Yeah.
Come through our shop on a stop.
Well, they came here first.
Yes.
They came here first, and then they went to Detroit.
And we had a guy, a customer of ours, Rick Van Unen.
He's bought a few chassis from
We built a couple cars for him now, but he walked in the shop and he was just like, man, this is impressive. Like, your shop is clean, it's organized. He talked to a couple of my guys. I liked how they talked, this and that. He goes, hand us a car. He goes, I want you to build a car for me. And just like him seeing the shop and this and that was enough for him to say, hey,
that's pretty cool.
So like, I feel like those are a lot of important things I don't think people think about that goes into like, if someone's going to spend $2, $3, $4, $5, $1 million with you, I think
Place should resemble it.
Yeah. Like if you're going to write that check to someone, you're like going to the, and obviously everyone has to start somewhere, but like going to that, like where we started at in the one car garage, I don't think no one was going to write us a check for.
Even if it's in a big building and there's just shit everywhere, disorganized chaos, it sets a tone for the customer when they're walking through.
So it's just one thing that I kind of stress about, and I've kind of instilled that in the guys, and they really do a good job of it too. Like,
well, this is generally the time that we come to what we call standard questions. However, Jeremy has to say something.
Oh, we have to come full circle back to what's happening now.
Oh, the Gran Torinos.
If you would just I wish you would pay attention sometimes.
you forgot about it.
You know?
I did forget about it.
You just don't fucking listen to anything that anybody ever says.
I apologize. Yeah. I've got a short attention span.
Okay. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. So you're
the short attention span? That's usually what you bring to the table. You're right.
Yeah.
Hey,
right?
You appreciate that? Yeah. Thank you.
I'm not going to argue that.
Right.
That's a nice alley-oop.
Yeah, I won't fight that.
The two Gran Torinos.
Yeah, the two Torinos have been a long-term project. Like you guys had came and picked one of them up and scanned it for a chassis. It's been a minute.
You said 70s? Those are 70s?
69 Torinos. They're really cool cars. They're Grand National-like. Everything's been a lot of modifications. Be cool cars.
Those are long-term projects.
With doing two of them, is it similar customer or just happen to land at the same time?
Two brothers.
Okay.
Yep. So the dad commissioned us to build them for two brothers. So it's been a challenge.
One smart one, one dumb one.
Just like us. Who's the dumb one?
If you have to ask.
But, as they're coming to an end, like you look back and you're like, fuck, man, it's been 5 years building these cars. But, like, they literally came to the shop. I remember getting the chassis, both chassis at the same time from you guys. It was like within a week of us moving into that new shop.
Oh, wow.
And it was just a big transition for the business. Like we were the growing pains, the more people, the changes. And we've learned a lot since just starting those cars, going through some different employees and learning techniques and things like that. Just
debuting together.
That's always been the plan, but the problem is one is like basically done and one is getting painted. If I could hold on to them both for SEMA, that was my goal. But
of course, you're not going to find a booth to have them both in.
But I think I might debut the gray one at
how much room
Columbus.
we got in the booth?
And maybe we'll talk off the podcast thing. You never know what
that would be the first time
you never know what's possible.
Something like that.
Yeah. And that's what it's been challenging. Like at first I was like, oh yeah, build two at the same time. That should make it easier. Just transfer, copy and paste.
If the situation
on paper,
totally different too.
Totally different.
Right? Totally different spectrum.
One is like gray, black finishes, texture, black chrome. One is like purple,
dark purple,
almost like black,
basically.
Nickel plating, things like that. So like one's like show car, blingy. One's like Grand National, like more sinister.
Completely hypothetical, right? Just if there was a potential opportunity to debut both of them in, say, the same booth at SEMA, is that something that could happen?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
That's a cool story to know.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Early February, they got all kinds of time to finish two cars.
It's easy.
One's almost done, he said.
Yeah.
It's amazing how fast the time goes. Columbus will be upon us.
Yeah, especially when fucking Carlson takes 46 months to do an interior.
Well, unfortunately, he's not doing it.
Well, good thing, Mike. I love you, Jeremy, but good thing you're not doing these interiors. But I have one, and then on top of that, I have a 69 Camaro that's at Carlson's right now that I'm going to get in a couple weeks.
At a Columbus debut?
That's going to be it might be early. It might be before that. We're going to try to run like Muscle Machine of the Year finalists or something like that for that.
Nice.
And then when we pick that one up, we're dropping off a blue 67 Camaro that it's probably on there somewhere. I'm dropping that off to Jeremy. He's doing that car next. Back down. The blue car with the white stripe.
That one there.
So that's going to be coming out. That car's basically done and minus interior. Pretty, we've done so many first-gen Camaros. We've been really known for those cars over the years.
Good looking car. Good color.
That's kind of a cool story too. That car started at Detroit Speed early on, and probably won't disclose all the details, but
go ahead.
Kyle referred them to us, and we're finishing it, and that was pretty cool. Like Kyle called us and like, hey, it'd be cool. You got, it's a great customer. You should finish this car. Yada yada. Maybe that's not supposed to be public knowledge, but it is now. It's out there.
Yeah, it's like.
But it was cool.
12 people gonna hear it.
Yeah, great customer. But that's a super cool car. That's gonna be on a Legends, both those cars. So I dropped off the motor for the K10. That's gonna be a K10. That's the LT5 Legends truck.
Yeah, that's gonna be the one of one.
Say what now?
Oh, sorry. That's probably not public knowledge either.
One of one.
Now you guys
nobody get any ideas.
Fuck is going on?
LT5 Legends truck. Boom.
Yeah, dude. SW hit me up. That's the problem when you build relationships with people and they reach out. Sometimes if they got the right contacts.
The other problem is when you can't say no. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it works.
Spell no.
Yes.
So that's going to be the Legends truck, and then the Chevelle is going to be a ride line chassis with LT5 10-speed, same customer. So that's two badass projects I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, those have been
going on.
And that's the one you said, because I'm with you. It looks beautiful in the picture.
It just came back from the blaster.
It's not so beautiful.
So it was great. The customer was like, when it got shipped to us, he was like, hey, I want to keep the wheels and tires. We're going to put some on it. And so it got dropped off, and it had studded, like, snow tires on the back.
Did it really? Michigan car then.
Yeah, so that's why it's so nice.
Yeah.
I don't know where
from the UP.
So right before that picture, I did like a hellacious burnout with it.
With the studs?
With the studs. It was fucking sweet.
We haven't had it. That used to be like a standard procedure before we tear something down. We just melt it down.
It was just natural. Like, if the guy dropped it off, it got off a carrier, and he just dumped it in front of the shop. And it started snowing or whatever, and I just hopped in it and backed it up to pull in the shop, and I was just in it, and it just felt right. Just like,
that was the time.
Melt the tires.
We used to do them all. I think it was the smoke alarm that started getting us.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, we had the fire department come a couple times from gnarly burnouts, and then the wind would blow, go right in the overhead door.
Oh man,
burning them down.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are two cool projects in the start. But we counted on the way here. We have 11 RS chassis builds
Hell yeah.
in queue or in process.
Nice.
The full fab shop lineup right now.
Oh shit! If I'd have known that, we wouldn't have gave you the fucking best on the rest. We fucking already got you.
You already got it, yeah.
That's cool, man.
The full fab shop
fucking
lineup right now, minus the 34 Ford that's on there, which is on a steadfast chassis, which is hard to beat.
Yeah,
you cannot beat.
Ain't gonna hold that one against you.
Fucking Henry,
the full fab shop lineup right now is on Roadster Shop chassis. Whether it's we have an RS4 going, a fast track, a spec, and then another fast track on the Torino. That's getting wrapped up.
Then we have that the independent rear in that spec car for Rachel.
Yep.
Yeah, that's killer.
Yeah, so that's cool stuff in the works.
Yeah, that's awesome. Man,
I feel like stuff's starting to hit for us. Like I feel like probably a lot of people, like we've came like a couple of years of like not turning out a bunch of like bangers, and then like we have some are starting to hit together.
Yeah.
And then like that car and that truck those will probably won't come out till like those won't come out next year probably.
Right.
So it's like
they come in waves, right?
They come in waves. Like there might be like a year where a couple don't come out. You know?
I think that's where.
But we do a lot of other smaller projects too, like that Corvette's nothing like super wild, but it's a super nice restoration, great customer, LS motor.
That's good.
He wanted really high end body and paint.
I can see it, man. I like those cars, the C3s.
So
what color on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the original it's Byron blue. I think it's
something.
Corvettes the blues on Corvettes are so tough because there's so many fucking blues, and so that changes so much through the years.
Briar blue, something like that.
Blue, something like that. Yeah.
But we do a lot of, like I said, we've always done a lot of just body and paint jobs and things like that kind of go unnoticed. But
well, and I think the other thing is, I mean, even if we're not throwing a lot of stuff out the door that everybody sees, I mean, we also try to obviously he has a family now. I'm trying to have it where we're not having to work a ton of hours night and day. I mean, we all got to enjoy life a little bit. I mean, cars are great, but I mean, I like the guy. I mean, we do 410s, which has been nice. And the guys,
we do.
Do you guys do 410s, or does the shop do 410s?
No, the shop does 410s. We're usually there working, but even if we work Fridays, we still have a Saturday and Sunday off.
It's a laid back Friday where you actually can get something done because I have a handful of guys that do come in and work Fridays. Probably like 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah.
But
so what are you guys doing for fun in Michigan? Because you guys are like smack dab in the middle of the state, right?
Lower.
Yeah.
Well, in the lower portion, but dead.
Lower bottom, right toward the bottom.
Basically going like up north is like Traverse City, Lake Shore, West Side. We don't really venture to the east side much, but
you guys ever go up to Torch Lake?
I also asked that.
That's nice.
Have you? We've been talking about it forever.
That's our plan
awesome.
this summer.
Is it pretty cool?
Yeah,
yeah.
nice.
Does it look like the pictures that they post? Like, because it looks like the fucking Bahamas
around that area.
Gaylord area is really nice.
Have you been up like Traverse City and that?
I've never been. We go up to
Traverse City is good too.
We go up to Silver Lake to the dunes up in like Mears.
Far away.
That's as far as
you're a couple hours north.
About as far north as I go.
We've been talking about it. This is the year. It's going to be all guys banana hammock bonanza at Torch Lake this year for sure, right?
You and Uncle Mikey.
Hammock. Uncle Mike's not just too far from there.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, you said.
I don't remember talking about
you
that.
said. You were like, yes.
But it's pretty damn cool.
Oh, it's very cool.
Yeah.
Super cool area, especially in the summertime, like beach town, Lake Michigan.
There's that tunnel of trees up by Bel Air. It's got to have a brewery up that way. You can go up to Mackinac City.
Yeah, that's a super cool area.
Yeah, it's beautiful up there.
Yeah.
We're doing it this year.
We've been. What are we on year 4?
Yeah, we've talked about
Year
this
4 of talking
as
about it.
same amount of times we talked about the SHOT Show,
No, SHOT Show's been way more
possibly.
since we've known you. I think.
Yeah, we're doing the SHOT Show next year for sure.
Just missed it again.
All right. Generally, this would be the time where we come to standard questions, but this is season 4, so we're changing it up. So instead of standard questions, we're just going to do what we call cool ass questions. So
We call
Cool.
Yeah.
What you call?
you call.
we're calling
answers
it
aren't cool.
We're calling it cool ass questions. So sometimes it might be some of the standard questions. Other times it might be questions that we thought of
It's like
during
these are like speed rounds.
speed rounds of cool ass questions. Right?
Okay.
It's daily double,
I
triple
wish we got prepped on this beforehand.
Or you're getting prepped. No, it makes it
There is no prep. It just seems like there was prep.
because you just fire
Gotta
from
wing
the head.
it.
Yeah, you get.
Yeah. When have we
Put
ever
your notes down then.
When have we ever done prep? Since we started. I've never done prep.
Fire away. Go now.
What is the lowest moment that you've ever had in the? Everybody's got those times, right?
Shit.
Oh, this is a real question. So there's
just one.
All right. Well, the lowest. Everybody's got those times. Like you even said, you mentioned earlier, like what the fuck are we doing? Why don't I just go back and get this? There's always the circumstance around, and it's never just one thing. It's a combination of 4 to 7 things at one time that's gone wrong. That's like, dude, what the fuck are we doing?
Well,
we talked about that earlier when we were just walking around.
Talked a few of them.
But those are like the private conversations.
Yeah. No, but I mean, we had one on. We did that blue Camaro for Troy. Perfect example of that car. I mean, awesome car.
Troy Light.
Troy Light.
Okay.
Troy.
That's the little one.
But it all started where I think they were on their way to pick it up. Something got rubbed through, had to repaint it.
Yeah, like we're like, hey, your car's gonna be done. Come pick it up. Fuck and yeah, everything's great.
And then it all
started. Put a final polish on it, and you like smoke a fucking
body
spot.
And so you got to
review
it.
Middle of a panel on the edge.
Right in the middle.
Yeah,
yeah, that's the best.
That was
middle stuff.
Like it all started with, hey, Troy wanted to do his frame, and we have a guy that does great work for us. Well, come to find out, our guy, unfortunately,
it's a low moment for him.
Very low moment for him, but he was messing around with some guy's ex-wife, and that guy went there to find him, and he shot him multiple times.
Oh,
he lived, but he shouldn't have.
At this point, he's powder coating Troy's Camaro chassis.
Yeah, at that time.
Then he had someone that wasn't shot finish it. And apparently, they didn't do a good job.
Well, unfortunately,
fuck you guys for making fun of my question.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah. So anyway,
you're welcome.
Yeah, it gets done. It goes back to them. They're trying to put it back together, and shit's they're bolting together, and shit's coming off. So we're like, Jesus Christ, are you shitting me? So next thing you know, they got to haul all the way back up.
Same car?
Same car. It's all done. It's all painted. This is after we fixed the burn in the quarter panel. And then
drop the chassis out. Strip it. Repowder.
I call the guy at Sandblaster, and I'm like, hey, listen, dude, I need a favor. I need a 911. I need a
different Sandblaster, a different powder coater.
I said, I need this frame blasted.
Yeah.
I'm dropping it off at 10 o'clock. I'm picking it up today. So he dropped everything. They blasted it. We went and got it it's just,
Dude, Troy, you're not going to believe what happened.
But,
this car's gone. The chassis, the body, everything. It's stolen.
And then it's just one thing after another.
But that's just like shit like that. That's a low moment when you're trying to like get your name out there, do something for, and then it's like you look like an idiot.
Just like kicked in the nuts, kicked in the nuts, kicked in the nuts.
It wasn't just once. It was multiple times.
Yeah.
And then, of course, his customer, Troy's great to deal with, but then his customer is like, why is my car taking so long? When's it going to be done? And then you tell him, well, this is when it's going to be done. And then he hangs up on you. And then you're trying to work even harder to get it done. And you can't feel
it's not like you're doing anything on purpose. So, it's just trying to, to make things right.
It doesn't look always like I say, there's times where shit just doesn't go right. And it's just the way it is. And, you try your best to make it right. I went down there.
That's all you can do.
Went down there, pre-rubbed it for him for SEMA and all that. Just never charged him or Troy, the owner or Troy, anything. Just on my dime, just trying to make it right because we felt terrible.
Yeah.
Just try to do the right thing. That's all you can do.
But that's just a prime example that even shops
even you build a really cool Grand National, you still can get kicked in the nuts.
Yeah,
it happens. I think that's what everybody just needs to realize. It's a fight, man. Yeah. And it's just who wins the fight. If you stick with it, and that's what's important. Yeah. Because this is the things that we're all doing are things that shouldn't really be done.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Oh, none of this stuff was ever supposed to.
Or some of them have never been done before.
No.
I'm not saying we're like NASA or curing cancer, but most of the things we're trying to fit in places or build a thing it's never been done before.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we take a lot of pride because we were trying to do a nice job on that car for Troy. Because obviously that top he built for the car was just. I don't think anybody.
The whole car's great.
The whole car was phenomenal. That aluminum top he built.
Yeah.
We're just trying to put our part of.
He's just kind of an asshole though.
No,
he's a fucking. He's kind of a dickhead.
Yeah. He means well. No, they're a good bunch of guys down there.
Oh, they are.
They are.
He's going to keep working out and then bust your ass.
Yeah, he's getting
he's
close,
bigger.
dude.
He's bigger than me now.
He's fucking bulking.
He's bigger than me now.
He's like probably Columbus time. He's kicking your ass.
Fuck. We're friends. You're not gonna kick my ass.
Why you keep talking like that?
I told him all the secrets. He owes me.
Yeah.
I told him the cheat codes.
Yeah, obviously.
He's big.
Yeah, Troy's a good dude, though, man. Talented guy.
That's why I just try to tell people. I mean, I've had a few people come up to us. There was a couple guys that came up to us at SEMA and just, hey, what do you think about this? How would you do this? And I just said, hey, listen, you're gonna struggle, you're gonna fail, and that's just the way it is. And we all do. And I said, don't. He was just like asking, hey, how would you guys do this? I'm like, I said, well, you don't need to go out and buy a semi and a big trailer and all that to hit all the shows. Start small and just work your way up.
I think to summarize the whole question without incriminating much more, it would be even in the lowest moments is how you handle them.
Yep.
I think there's there's been a lot of low moments I can think of. And the way that you handle them, I feel there's a numerous thing. I talked to someone that called me today and they're like, hey, I'm going to send this guy your number about painting his car. This shop did it. And they did a really bad job, and they told him to go get bent. And I thought to myself, maybe I should. There's been a few times where I probably should do that, but
this particular family,
we've made that's irrelevant. But it's there's just times where you probably should have done that, but you've bit your tongue and been like, okay, I'm gonna make it right.
This is probably the only time that I'll ever reference. This is the only thing good that Stallone or Balboa has ever brought to the table, and that would be the
what? Oh, back up before you say that.
I said it. I stand by my statement. Go
easy.
Go ahead. The quote that I'm talking about.
Go ahead and say the quote, but I would have to say that's not the only fucking thing that he's brought to the table.
He brings the table to
Name
the
another movie.
Stallone?
Yes.
All the fucking movies. Every
dude,
fucking movie.
We've already been through this before.
Go ahead and say the quote, and we'll edit out the part when you said
it's not how hard you get hit, right?
It's not how hard you get hit. It's not how hard you. It's about how hard you get hit and keep moving forward.
Right. Not how. Yeah. Right. So that's where it falls into place there. Everything else, I mean, obviously not great movies. The quote from that movie, though, I'm sure somebody else wrote it.
I doubt they did.
No, because he wrote Rocky.
Since he writes all this. Right.
You guys are really doing it justice and proving that point.
Yeah, really sitting at home.
Everybody that's not been drinking, that's listening, they understand the quote that we're talking about, and it sums up. We reiterate it every few episodes and stuff like that, but it's all the stories are unique, all the stories are different, but all the stories have a general tone, right? And they have the same thing. It's just there. I don't think we've had a story, regardless. We've had people that have nothing to do with hot rod industry, right? But the stories are all the same thing. It's there's not been the time that we get somebody on here. It's you're not going to believe this. I just hung my shingle, right? Created my name, and then instant success, and I had no problem.
Sign on the front.
That guy, I'm gonna be like, you're a fucking liar. You're full of fucking shit, because it just doesn't happen. It's not about the talent is something. The idea, the vision, all those are pieces. The stubbornness and not wanting to lose, not wanting to give up, and not wanting to let that. You're not wanting to let your customer down, but there's also the part of I don't want to let the customer down, but I don't want the customer to know that I let him down. You get what I'm saying? It's the same, but it's different. Just making a guy unhappy is one thing. You don't want that to happen, but you also don't want him to know that it was you that made him unhappy. You can't let him you don't want to fail.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to fail, but you lost me on that.
There's a difference in just a guy being unhappy from your services and knowing that it was you that allowed it to happen.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I couldn't have said it clear, but
he could have.
There's that goes through it, and that's when we talk about going the extra mile and putting it in. And then there's a team too, right? It's different when it's just y'all two and you're like, all right, fuck it. We're working this Saturday. Yeah. We got to eat it up. But then there's that when the team's like, oh shit, y'all are coming in. all right, this is for the better. This is for the betterment of the shop. This is for the greater good. This is we got to do what we got to do.
As a team, you're talking about the team deal, and you're talking about you two, and then we're talking about 410s and all this. How do you guys jive? Because you guys have like a very interesting dynamic, but it doesn't feel like father and son. It feels like buddies, or like coworkers.
Well, when we first started out, it was probably a little more like Paul Tuttle and Paul Senior. I rode him hard. I mean, I was just trying to shape him where you needed to be.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you did a good job shaping him.
And,
You're like clay. He was trying to mold you like clay.
Mold him. I knew he had potential. I mean, I think everybody could see it. I had my way of doing it, and that's the way I wanted it, and there was no other way of doing it but that way. And he would always try to find a faster way or whatever, and sometimes you just had to let him figure it out on his own.
I figured a lot of stuff out the hard way.
Those are usually the best lessons.
It's the only way you learn.
Fuck up. You don't do that again.
Yeah.
What's the dynamic now? I mean,
Are you like his boss?
Yeah, well, I guess I'm thinking about it because we come from a family business where we worked hand in hand with our dad, and there came a point where it was like, step the fuck aside, because this is how we're fucking doing it. Like
that's basically exactly how it is. You know, like I said earlier, like I envy what he gets to do. Like he gets to work in the shop. He gets to put his headphones on and listen to all the podcasts.
You get to.
Yeah,
you're allowed to.
You get to. He gets to do the fun. Like I feel like working in the shop is like fun and exciting. But like when the Grand National and the project that comes apart or comes to the end, like I'm in the shop working on it. But day to day, it's
all perspective.
It's
funny how the perspective.
I have to go tell him what to do, or I had to go break the news to him. Like, hey, this guy fucked this up, or I need you to repaint it.
I call myself the janitor sometimes because I'm the one who has to play cleanup. I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, if something has to get touched or touched up, spotted in, rebuffed, resanded, whatever, I'm usually the last guy that has to. I mean, that's part of being the business owner too. I mean, you get last one in line. You're the kind of quality control.
Yeah, I feel like what he's saying is like I feel like there is a lot of things that. Like new school, old school ways of like, you look at me like, why are you going to do that? That is stupid. I'm like, no, this is what we're going to do. And then I send it and you're like, oh, okay.
Like, that was a really good TikTok.
I mean, I think there comes that time that
or it not always 100% success, but there's times where like, I'm the one that like, he always like, this is stupid to build cars. We should just do paint and body. And maybe that was the right move. I don't know. But he's like, I'm like, no, we got to build cars. We got to do this. We got to take over the world. And
yeah, I think there's just like inherently there's this thing with like a father, I believe, that like you ultimately want your son to outperform you.
Oh, absolutely.
At some point, like that's how it was. Like I think with my dad is that you reach the point where you became better, right, and you're more current, you're more relevant, you outperform them. Like I long for that moment.
I'm at that moment.
Yeah, you want to you want to see, but at the same time, there's so many lessons to learn, right? Yeah. Because we wouldn't be where we are today without like the lessons that I've learned. But there's also that passing of the torch, of like the next generation, or taking it and running with it. And
I think for me, what's put it in perspective more of like maybe taking it for granted a little bit up until like now I have a son.
Yeah.
And
now you get it.
He's at the age where like he's wrecked. Yeah. Like I haven't even taken him to a ton of car shows yet. I haven't even like really like tried to like push that button, like push him down that road. He just has like naturally taken it on. And now like he talks about like the shop, the truck and trailer and this and making car. Like he's got it. And like his like outlook on like dad and what he's doing in the shop and this and that. It's like, okay, like I see how he feels towards me now. And that excitement makes me kind of like, okay, maybe this is how he looks at what I'm doing. And then because day to day, you're just like,
You're grinding.
Fuck yeah. Go, build hot rods, make money. And like, I don't like the sentimental side, but it's like, okay, you step back and now you see like your son and you're like, oh shit. Like, maybe
I feel like I hit the lotto. I mean, I get to go to work from the kid every day and build cool stuff. I mean, I feel like I hit the lotto. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, I've ran into Andy Leach from Cal a few different times, at different events and road tours. And he every time I see him, he's like, man, dude, I'm so jealous of you guys. I wish I could have built cars with my dad, So, I mean, I don't take that for granted. I mean,
But sometimes it's hard when you're, like you said, you're in the lows or you're in the day-to-day, you're in, transition to the shop or this or that. It's like,
no, I mean,
it sometimes I feel like it could hurt we still have a good, tight family.
Yep.
But sometimes it's like day to day, it puts a little bit of a dampener on, like, because it is business.
Yeah.
And
it has to be.
It has to be.
Yeah.
So that would be probably the negative of it, but yeah.
Could be worse.
It could be worse.
Now you got a grandson who's into cars, so you can spoil him.
How old's your son?
Wyatt just turned. I got a Wyatt. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, we did.
He's 3.
He just turned 3 earlier this
Oh, you got so much more time ahead of you.
He's my youngest, but we just took him on his first car road trip, and like truck and trailer, go pick a car up, and like he just completely wrecked. Now,
yeah, dude, just the truck and trailer thing. I remember my son.
I don't know what it is about the truck.
At a young age, he was like, that blew him away. Yeah. Was that like, you put the car in the trailer, and like, how did you know how to do this? Like, how did you do all that? Like those little things.
I didn't think it was a big deal.
Yeah,
I remember operating a ratchet strap to show him how to give the. That ain't going nowhere.
You'd be fucking surprised.
I've learned that lesson the hard way. Oh, it'd be fine.
No, honest to God, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of people like have not a fucking clue how to run a ratchet strap.
No.
Yeah,
it's a life skill.
I mean, people that work here.
All right.
But like we walked out of a truck stop, and like he's like potty training.
Albuquerque, New Mexico.
I'm gonna take him on a road trip. It's like not like it's more of a mom. Like she's like the pro at that.
Well, you don't do it solo, dude.
It's hard doing it solo. Like that was the first solo run.
Well, I went with him. So
he went with, and we walking out, and he's like looking at the truck and trailer, and he's like looking at like the back of the dually, and I'm like, that's the dually truck. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's got 2. And now, like, we're driving down the road. And he's like, dually truck and trailer. Like, he just back there just going off, And it's like, and like, for me, it's like, this is fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's cool. Like, it gives me, like, I feel like it was good timing for me because, like, it's easy day to day hot rod. Like, you lose a little bit of that flame, I feel. And I feel like him getting into cars for me is like, yeah, let's go to a car show.
Yeah.
Like usually before that, like I would be like, I work on cars every day. I see the coolest cars every day at work. Like, I really don't care about it. Dude, and now that he's like that, I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go to a car show.
It's tough, man. I mean, I take it for granted. We go to all these crazy shows. We're at Barrett Jackson. We're at the Grand National Roadster Show. And my son's a huge fan. And he is like devastated that he's not going to these things. But you're flying to Scottsdale, and then you're flying to LA, and they're not real conducive. It's not real conducive at that point. It's like hitting a cruise night is easy, but then like I'm guilty of like I don't want to go to the cruise night, right? Like we do a lot of car shows. We do SEMA. We're going to. I take him with on the road. We usually do a little road tour to Columbus, and for the past couple of years he's gone on that. That's cool. And but. I mean, that ruins. I mean, he's been ruined for a long time. Yeah. So it's.
My 2 daughters don't really care too much about cars, but he's definitely wrecked.
Take care of the daughters. Cool. Those are the ones that are going to take care of you.
Like that's almost the same excitement as
disheveled.
There's like them growing up to and being what they're into, something different that you've never been into. It's all good stuff.
Yeah.
Just wait till he hits 18.
Yeah, I'm 5 years
I'm
out.
more nervous for my daughter to hit 18. She's 7. I think she feels like she's 18.
Mine strolled through 18. She's about to be she'll be 21 here a few months.
I'll release this on air because you may or may not know about this.
Fucking awesome.
I picked Wyatt up from skate park the other day, and we're sitting there, and he's always Snapchat is like the thing, shit. Right, with kids. So he's fucking around on Snapchat, and I just hear like, it just keeps going over and over. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, Blaze is drifting in a parking garage. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And then he shows me, it's a video because he follows Blaze on Snapchat.
My son.
Josh's son.
This is the first time you're hearing about it?
So there's Blaze.
I'm not surprised.
Blaze drifting the shit out of his Audi in a parking garage.
Oh, man.
Fuck yeah.
And Wyatt thinks it's the coolest thing. I'm like, dude, you got to be careful with that. Like,
Just remember, Josh, this is
I'm like, the car will get loose. You can hit it's really dangerous.
Yeah,
I don't think his dad knows.
Wait till he turns.
Did you know about that?
I'm sure you're fine with that.
He's got his own page just for the car.
Okay. He's seen the tires.
So this kid's got 3 different social media.
Is he Henry?
Pages. He's got the one. He's got him. Right, just him, just Blaze's. Blaze.
Is that like the Blaze Henning?
I don't remember what it's called. But then he's got the mobile detailing business, and then he's got the car. Right, he's got the car has its own page just about the car. And honestly, dude, fucking drift into the thing. I wish he would do that more. Like that's the least. That's the least of our concerns, right? Yeah, that's Wait till you get one that's 18. The daughter. Like, I don't know how it happened. She sailed right through. She's a junior in college right now.
That one was zero drama through.
Yeah. We've been close for a long time. She was an adult at 15. Like, that's a responsible, trustworthy. That's when I said take care of the daughter. That's the one that's going to take care of me. Everybody else, my wife will have already been married 3 times, and fucking Blaze will be, fucking paying 4 child supports, and Maddox will be the one that's got to take care of me in the fucking old folks' home.
From changing dad's diapers.
Yeah, I'll be always incontinent or continent. I'll always be able to use the restroom. We got to finish that bottle, and we finish the rest of the question. So, also, no prepping, just my idea right now. Didn't even think about this. They're going to sign that bottle. We're going to kill it first, and they're going to sign that bottle.
That's a good idea.
That was a good bottle.
Yeah.
That's great.
But only bottles that get killed get to be signed.
Oh.
Right? So if we kill it,
you're encouraging something.
If we kill a bottle, we sign it. But we're gonna do we're gonna do a shelf up there.
Yeah, the Wall of Fame.
The Wall of Fame.
Dude, I love that.
That's a good idea, right?
I absolutely love that.
I think I get the rings back in for that.
They're not allowed to drink anymore.
What are we gonna kill a bottle of Metamucil?
I totally fucking dropped the ball. I should have fucking wore the ring.
You should have.
You did,
dude.
You did drop the ball,
dude. You totally should.
Yeah. You know who dropped the ring, though?
Dave. Yeah. That's worse. That's worse.
Kinder just fucking spiked it up.
I've got a TV show. Fuck, you're right.
Right on top of the shelf, too.
Over. Yeah, just kill it. Just go ahead and kill it.
Man, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, dude, I like that, Josh. That's a
good idea.
That's one of your only good ideas. That's awesome, dude.
Man, you guys are awesome. You gotta sign that bottle.
Fucking black.
Yeah.
Like a man.
The metallic ones never work.
It's this color.
Where did you get those bronze Sharpies?
It's one of those dazzling days. Probably the
store. We had to do the.
Who's gonna build the shelf?
I'll build a shelf. Build it out of wood, metal, make a shelf.
They'll gusset.
Attach it, affix it to the wall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be a shelf.
Wow, that's a phenomenal description.
Yeah, you get the picture.
Yeah, just shelf would have worked too.
Dude, let's fire away with it on the gas.
You got something?
No, I want to go old school and I want to kick it on the gas.
Oh, you're gonna give them an on the gas shot.
Oh shit!
What do you guys got?
Go ahead. You go first.
No, I asked you about this on the way here. Somebody we think that's on a gas.
Yeah. Who's killing it right now.
Well, he's been, I don't know. I was telling him about it. I don't know. He's never seen him, but I think there's a shop out in Arizona, maybe, that does all the Volkswagens, Type 1 restorations.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever seen it.
No, I have not. Pull it up there, Joshua.
They did they were at Triple Crown. They had a car at SEMA this year. It was like a Beetle Brown.
Well, if they were at Triple Crown, then
Right
yes, I
there,
know.
that one there.
Yeah.
They do a lot of Volkswagens.
That's
Is that
we
the one that was at Grand National?
Yeah.
no Triple Crown.
Yeah, we were all over it.
Triple Crown.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was there for that one.
Been
I
following
was
those
at Triple
guys for
Crown.
a little while, and I mean,
Yeah, we looked at this one.
yes, that car was at SEMA, I think, this year too. That particular one there.
We were really close to picking that one.
Yeah, we were.
They did a light blue one. I think that's the one they just did. The brown one was from a couple years ago. Yeah, that's the one that's the last one they did. But it's just a different. I mean, they do a lot of Volkswagens, and they just take them to the nines. So I just like stuff a little different like that.
Yeah, that thing right there was kick ass.
I mean,
was
these
really
guys
good.
are like, I mean, they're full out wet sand buff inside the wheel wells. I mean, it's
Dude, that's a pull right
It's-
there.
it's a pull.
Great
I
job.
can
Yeah,
appreciate
really good
that.
pull.
I
That's a
appreciate the
good
amount of work
one.
it takes.
Type
to do that.
1 restorations.
Yep, pretty awesome work. So that'd be
Hell
my
yeah.
on the gas. Who I always try to look at what they're doing. And,
I wish I knew more about those things. I've wanted a notchback for years, and I still don't know shit about them. You could tell me 2100, 2300, 2800. I don't know anything about the motors.
Isn't Dave into like those like big time?
Yeah, but that's
Yeah,
not the
Dave,
best.
he's into a lot of weird shit.
Yeah, he's into super weird shit. Yeah. He's a big time Brixton collector, isn't he? Does he have a shit ton
I
of Brixton?
could see Dave having like a high end Brixton built by like a Brixton shop.
What's funny is Kevin listens. I don't think Dave does because he's collecting his Brixtons. But this is going to get back to him secondhand. I fucking love that. Man, there's nothing better than secondhand digs.
So do you have?
Oh,
Who's your
man.
Yeah, what do you got?
I mean, I just think that stuff. I mean,
That's really cool.
it's just different than
Well,
what we normally do every day.
Yeah, and I appreciate because we saw that car at the Triple Crown, and you're like, oh, you obviously recognize the quality. It was
Yeah.
I mean, when you start wet sand buff inside the wheel walls and stuff they're doing, I mean, it's just incredible.
it was-
I mean,
it was
It's a
high
cool
end.
car.
So, you
Man, there's a lot of people that are like doing badass shit. I'm trying to think of someone like new that I feel that's coming up that deserves an on the gas.
And Bobby Alloway doing some shit. He's
been
about to
doing
be
it for
there.
a
It's like,
long
it's
time.
like
He's
the obvious ones like fucking Andy Leach, fucking Troy.
Yeah,
Like,
you
those are
can't.
killing it.
They've been on the
They're-
podcast. They can't be on the
don't
gas
count,
if they've been
but they're like,
guests.
they're building badass shit. Continue. I feel that those guys at Revamped Rides,
yeah.
I feel like they're coming up building some nice stuff.
Is that the one they're building a Thunderbird right now, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
I just
Yeah.
was looking at that today.
Yeah.
That car is nicely
we-
done.
I think we talked to those guys at SEMA a little bit, and they seem like
yeah, that car is really
legit,
nicely done.
respectful guys. They hit us up about like some information, and like we're like more down to earth and no ego, which was cool.
Were they? It looks at West Coast.
I think
they're
they're by
in
Tracy Weaver in
Nebraska?
Omaha.
Oh.
Omaha, I think.
We are just throwing out words.
Tracy Weaver's still alive.
Yeah, Tracy's still.
Yeah.
He did the interior in our great Trinos. He's gonna do the other. He's doing both Trinos.
He was. He's old. He's an older guy. I didn't know.
No, he's still around.
Yeah, that's.
But yeah, like, I feel like they're building some nice quality stuff, and I feel like they're getting those opportunities, like we talked about, to build
Dude,
the next car, and like
a good
that
pull.
Chevelle. Like I feel like it's
It's a good looking car.
like if I was to guess, like there was constraints on that car, and they took it to like the best of their ability without like working for free. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
I think we're all guilty of putting more time into a car that you know that's going to make it better and not getting paid
Yeah.
for it. I mean, we're all guilty of that.
Of course we are. But that
it's just-
T-Bird though, like
Yeah,
that's a
looks like-
special car, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's-
it keeps popping up.
there's
and
a lot of
I've
work
s-
to make those
I've
cars
looked
look
at
nice,
it because
too.
it looks
That's gonna
fucking
be a
really good.
cool
Yeah.
car when it's done.
that's the one that like I can think of that
Ah, good pull, man.
stands out.
pull.
To some guys that I don't know. I just have a lot of respect. Like, I know we're a younger shop too, but I feel like it's cool to see some stuff like that being built by some guys that you can see where you were in yourself as well.
These are younger guys.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Man, I'm looking forward to seeing that car finish. Kick-ass metalwork, a lot of good ideas. It'd be cool to see how they take it across the finish line.
It's kind of nice. I mean, it's nice to.
I like the simplicity of it, like how clean and crisp it is.
I'd like it better with Roadster Shop chassis, but hey, call us.
Hey,
you know
what?
We're gonna make it happen.
They'll
I just appreciate.
Hey, you just listened to 2.5 hours of exactly where you came from and where you're at.
Yeah, they'll get there.
It's an evolution.
They're gonna.
Sometimes it takes a while to figure your life out.
You learn from those mistakes, right?
In the trailer, right?
That's why we have one in the trailer. Yeah, but
everyone's got to grow up sometimes.
Sometimes when you're starting out like
Elliot
that,
needs to
not every
cut
job
that part right now.
I can afford one. I mean, it's just all about what your budget is.
Yep. Yeah, you got to take care of the customer at the end of the day.
I think every one you do, the next one you make it a little bit better and better, and then finally get that customer that has the budget, and then you get to do one. So I think we're all sometimes we forget how fortunate we are to be able to have those customers that can have that. So
we're gonna roll through this season some of the questions. Some of them we're going to do, some of them we're not going to do. But one thing we're definitely going to roll back through is best law enforcement interaction story.
I think that
because that's something we can't. It hasn't ran long enough.
Any body man has got a good collection of them.
And what sucks, we killed the fucking bottle, and I'm done.
We can get another bottle. We've got.
That's the beauty of.
We're getting another bottle.
That's the beauty of what we've got here.
Yeah. What are we gonna get?
New, or you want to just dip into something that's?
I'm just gonna grab something.
Should have brought some bread.
Grab something good.
Is it acceptable to tell a story that you don't know yet?
Yes.
Yeah, you're past the statute of limitations, dude. You're over 18.
Switch seats with Josh, so you're out of backhand right
Yeah.
Wait, you
gonna learn today?
Yeah, you don't
Are you
learn.
talking about the one on Ohio Turnpike, or is that different?
Oh no, that's tame.
Okay.
For those that may be just tuning in.
Yeah, I think this
is starting to crest the point.
This criteria should be tweaked a little bit too. That it could be something that law enforcement should have had significant interaction with,
they
but
didn't?
maybe you didn't get caught.
Oh, that's a different story.
Yeah,
Well, you got caught with this one, huh?
Oh, I got caught.
For the rare few that are just now turning in, they're just seeing this, right?
Yeah.
Season 4, episode 1. Jeremy brought this up last season. Favorite law enforcement interaction story, so we're bringing that back, and you are going to finally come clean in front of your father. Something you've done that's
It's not
horrible.
I think it's not that bad.
I mean,
but
horrible.
I think it's a good time to come clean because it's been like
If anybody would have known that it
16
was
years.
if anybody that would have known that it was you that did it, would there be a warrant?
no,
Oh, okay. Well,
it's not that bad. It's just more funny that like he's never known.
all right. Let's fucking get into it.
Remember that dent in your old Chevy truck?
Hey, we came clean on a lot of things. I told you about that Challenger dent. Remember?
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah,
We told my Michael Jordan.
The Jordan card. The Jordan card was
the Jordan card was it's the most guiltiest I've ever felt in my life.
that was the
But then I gave
best
it back
moment.
and it's still not worth shit, right?
We have the very first the bottle killed number 1. Killed bottle number 1.
Killed it.
Killed it. We'll write down there on there like the date and the
Dude, listen, I have to piggyback on the Jordan guilt because
You got another one?
No, the Jordan guilt runs so deep that I was going through.
Remember that toothbrush? That
No,
you had?
no.
You were like,
I was going through.
stinks.
Phil was looking for a binder of all his old Jordan cards, and he couldn't find it, and he swore he had it. And then I was digging through all these old boxes at my mom's house, and I found it. And immediately I'm like, I have to call Phil. I need to let him know there's this. And I called him because I'm like, he needs to know. Like I don't want to go down for like another Jordan card theft. So I immediately text. I'm like, hey, I found that fucking binder of the Jordan cards. You're like,
Dude, I found an entire binder.
like,
It's
this
worth
is-
$8.
yeah. Oh, yeah, this one might be worth something. But
That was 4 weeks ago. He's going to bring it in tomorrow.
Finally,
yeah, I'm still waiting to see if they're worth anything.
All right, it's time to come clean. I love the Dr. Phil level family sharing.
This is great.
Yeah,
there's numerous.
It is your
police
child.
Interactions of like drunk at a party, cops show up. Like that's not cool. Like, parents just assume that, but
yeah.
There's this one time.
It's gonna be good.
It's not that bad.
Go ahead and buckle up.
It's great that like I've never told him about it. My mom knows though.
Was I working in North Carolina at the time?
I don't think so.
I bet you I was. I heard about Party Boy all the time.
Yeah, might have been
Party Boy.
Yeah,
Bonfire Boy. Bonfire Boy.
Oh, Bonfire Boy.
Bonfire Boy.
I just think of Party Boy.
yeah
Party Boy.
there could have been some party boying going on.
Pontius.
Leopard skin.
So I don't know how it started.
New nickname.
My first car was like a supercharged, like 3800. That body, whatever those cars. It was a Buick or something.
Buick GS.
Like that was the car.
Oh, like the same thing as the Grand Prix.
Yeah,
The wide body
supercharged
thing?
whatever.
Oh, front wheel drive V6.
Yeah,
Yep.
but supercharged.
Yeah, he said 3800. That's
So,
all
at
I
that
needed
age,
to
like,
hear.
I thought, supercharger pulley. Like it's not like just make it go faster.
Black or dark green?
black?
What?
Gray two-tone.
It's a fucking. Hey, sometimes it comes.
Chrome wheels. Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, but anyways, like it wasn't like, and at that time, you like.
Case Logic on the thing.
No, I didn't have like the windshield banner that said.
No,
like,
I'm
what
talking
the car
about
was.
no Case
your
Logic
CDs.
for your CDs on the windshield on the visors.
He's a little younger than you.
A little too young for that, I feel.
Yeah.
You had an MP3 player.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the
iPod, the first iPod.
But
All
at that
right.
point, you're like supercharger whining noise. You think you're going fast.
Yep.
Not really. But like you're out with some friends driving. I don't remember how. Like I don't know if someone was like tailgate me or I passed somebody and they like got mad and they came up. Next thing I know, I'm going like 120 miles an hour through an intersection that has then it has a camera on it.
Throttle.
See the flash on the way through?
Yep.
That's the
And then the
worst.
person was chasing me with it. And then at that point, I figured that the cops were called. And then I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to lose them.
Yep.
And I'm going to fucking go.
I got a
I'm gonna-
supercharger.
I'm going to run from the cops.
It's the only way to find out what the worst can happen is.
Yeah, I'm going to run from the cops. Well, my dumb ass didn't go like in the right direction. I went like more towards town than away from town. Next thing you know, like I'm in town. He's like, look at him. He's like, fuck, you motherfucker. Next thing I know, like I'm in town. There's cops coming. Next thing you know, I'm like swarmed by multiple police vehicles. Get pulled out of the car. Got a reckless driving ticket.
Nice.
How did you hide a reckless driving ticket from?
Never heard about that.
they're
one.
paying
That's
insurance.
That's
at
a
that
pretty
point, right?
serious.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait till I see your mom when you go.
Mama's boy.
Wait till I see her when I go home.
Held that secret for many years.
What Sean Connery say?
Every once in a while, you got to give a
There was
woman a
more,
good slap.
there's a little more of the story, I'm sure, but that's the gist of it, from what I recall.
Can you one up that?
I guess my favorite one was, it involved cop.
one.
I had a 69 Mach 1 Mustang, big block Ford. Thing was fast.
Couldn't corner with a ship. That fucking get that fucker up on the interstate.
That car would haul ass. And I was coming home from having a date night with a girlfriend or whatever, and I'm just making my way home. And next thing I know, I have sheriff after me, and lights are on, and I'm like, what? Like this.
Small town.
Yeah, very small town. And it took them about 2 miles to catch up. They finally caught up. When I hit the dirt road to go to our house, I had to slow down because I didn't want to drive the car. Fast. They caught up. Obviously, I pull over, and I'm out of the car, and they're going through the car. And
Throttle stuck.
Yeah.
No.
You know how fast you were going? I'm like, yeah, I know. You're going to tell me.
Yeah, pretty fucking fast.
And so 2 sheriff cars show up, and they're behind me, and I'm out of the car, and they're going through the car, and obviously, I had an old car. You're always putting fuses in them. I had an old Ziploc bag or something with a bunch of fuses and wiring stuff or whatever. Of course, they thought it was something other than that. So
Paraphernalia.
yeah, they're going through it. Oh, not what I thought it was.
Yeah, you were trying to snort a fuse.
Yeah.
Give it a shot.
Well, yeah,
What's in these things?
I guess you
I think I got like
Try these 30s.
I am gonna, Yeah, I mean, they're going through the car.
Yeah.
They're hoping they're going to find what they want to find. And
did you have a court date and stuff like I did?
I had
that you had to hide from your dad.
Yeah.
Cool story.
Yeah. But that particular car got me that particular speeding ticket and another speeding ticket, and then basically had to go driver improvement. And yeah, it was.
Which is kind of.
That was a Cobra Jet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I know that you said that. I remember hearing that story. I remember you saying that Grandpa said that you had to sell the car.
Yeah, I had sold
or
the
whatever.
car.
And then I think about
that's the
man,
car
what
I
happened if you
sold.
would have kept a Mustang? Would that mean we're Ford people?
That would have been we were 4 people.
You had to sell it because of the
speeding tickets.
Then he ended up with a Nova.
And
now we're Nova, Chevy.
Yeah.
So the ticket changed everything.
Now you guys are homeless.
Yeah. Now we have a Nova.
No, we've got a trailer.
Yeah.
Phil is the.
I'm only saying that because I fucking love Novas. Phil is not a Nova.
Me and Jeremy are Nova fans.
Novas are great.
Yeah.
Phil is the biggest snob.
see
He
his-
looks down his nose at Novas.
He's had his Nova for 40 years.
42
You guys
years.
probably seen his. It's,
So
on, it's on the road
You've
tour.
been a fucking badass for 42 years.
A Nova might
Holy
as well be a
shit.
third world
So
country
then
in
we're talking
Phil's
all the way over,
eyes.
Like, you know what? If I just cut the floor out of that, we could do a fast track and this and
On
that.
the way here, he was like, "Man, we should just really, because it's been painted since '91."
92 I painted.
92.
Yeah. And it's just time for a
Little revamp.
a big revamp.
Internal jokes always have been Phil's not a Nova guy, right? He doesn't like them, and he always throws shots about.
Chevy 2s.
I like Chevy too.
Okay.
Chevy 2s.
Everybody likes a Chevy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So when obviously he's been a Nova guy, him and his best friend always had Novas, and they would go to the Nova Nationals and all that stuff. And I grew up as a kid going to those, and same thing. I was always drawn to a Chevy 2.
Yeah.
So my first car was a '67 Chevy 2, and
I love a Nova. So the internal, Jeremy loves a Nova. The internal argument's always been, Phil looks down his nose. Nova's a poor man's car, right? We always say that a Nova,
Poor white trash.
a Nova is a distinguished gentleman's car, right?
it's a poor man's Camaro.
So we go
it's the same parts as a Camaro, but
So internal, it's always like the jokes. You go to a show and we'll see a Nova and Phil's like, oh, and we're like, oh, fuck, I guess Bezos is here. I guess Elon Musk drove his Nova here. The man of means. I guess they landed in the helicopter over there by the Celeste building.
But at the same time, we talk about when Phil's been out of town a handful of times, and we've got a '69 Nova Survivor car sitting at our storage
The
shop.
one that's being built right now.
No,
At the other shop?
We've talked about dragging it over to his house and putting it in the front yard and putting it on cinder blocks and chaining the motor over the
To the basketball goal.
Yeah, so that he's got an HOA and stuff. Just
yeah.
So
What do you mean he's got an HOA? He's the president of the HOA.
I'm done.
You too? Are you really?
But we fear.
Did you just come out?
No, it's been like 6-8 months.
We just fear dealing with his wife.
he hasn't- Paul
We
hasn't
would deal with
eaten
him because we could be like, yeah, that was fucking awesome.
Melissa would. She would not be happy.
No.
Yeah, Nova with the
could-
wheels and the motor.
If you could just do like a transmission fluid leak from the middle of the cul-de-sac all the way up the truck.
permanent. Be there for a year.
Fucking gear loops so that everybody in the neighborhood could smell it.
Phil's on the back window.
That was decent Nova shit.
Oh, Phil's has been fucking awesome. We killed a bottle. We had some Elijah Craig 18 year.
Yeah, still working on it, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I love your new edition, the signed bottle. That was
I think it's great.
good.
Only killed bottles though.
yeah.
If we just come in here and sip on one, if you don't come in person, it's only in person killed bottles.
That's not a thing usually.
Courtney Hansen,
No.
if she would have retro, we'd have to have about
it'd be
four.
a lot of 'em.
Courtney had about 4 up there.
She
Yeah, Ring Brothers had 4 or 5.
Okay.
Yeah. No, they had like about a half a bottle, and that's how drunk they
That was
got.
an entertaining
Just
podcast. I listened to
Yeah,
that.
one of my guys at the shop is like, man, you got to make sure that you don't get fucked up and talk so much of shit. And
You know who got fucked up?
you should not. You should
That
eat
beat
some-
the Ring Brothers?
Yeah, he doesn't get enough shit.
He's going to be here tomorrow.
Yeah. Zach from Z-Rods, Fiber
Oh
Forge.
yeah, I messed into that one.
I think he might have had a mini stroke. because he got
them guys were hammered.
He got fucked up.
He's coming tomorrow. He's gonna do that GTO nose for us.
Oh, great.
Out of carbon.
Rod hung in there. He's old school. He just kept on drinking. He was drunk, but Zach got broke.
So we put a good base layer down at lunch. So we
that's smart.
We're smart. We're professionals.
That's hey,
gotta build a base.
That's why you got the very first bottle up on the shelf.
That's a winner.
Fellas, it's been fucking awesome. Love to call you friends.
Absolutely.
Glad we could finally do this.
That's great.
Appreciate it.
And looking forward to doing some fucking business together, guys. We're going to be kicking some cars. We're trying to work with you guys on painting some cars. So
I think that we can
can't wait to see what we can do together, man.
I think that'd be good. Definitely help you guys out, and
I'm glad we could get in there. I mean, everybody knows they're booked up 8, 9, 12 years, right?
Yeah.
So nobody should call them for paint and body, right? Obviously.
Now we are. Jeremy showed me like 18 cars. Well, this one. Well, yeah, this one too. Now we're gonna paint this one too.
But no, man, it's a great relationship. We love you guys, and
we
respect
appreciate
what you guys are doing.
You guys build a great. We picked up that chassis for a Chevelle today at the chassis shop, and they unloaded it, or they put it by the trailer, and I'm like, fuck, man, that is a work. They are all work hard.
I looked at that thing. I'm like, God, I never really. Man, it's like, man, that's nice. I gotta have one of those.
Yeah,
well,
a fast track chassis is beautiful.
Well, thanks.
It's a beautiful product.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
You know, you guys have built a great business, and
Hey,
only as good as our
fucking
customers.
Cheers, fellas.
Cheers at the end.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
yeah. Let's get one under that Nova. We got you.
Yeah, absolutely. I love to.
You got to know if you got the money.
Hashtag world's most expensive Nova.
You know the problem
Wouldn't
is
take much.
It don't take much, does it? No, it don't.
Well, we've done a handful of like road tours the last couple of years and have had a lot of fun doing it. And
those road tours are awesome.
we were talking about like this last year, we made a pretty. So when we built his Nova, I built it kind of. Obviously, it's a family car. It's gonna be around for a long time. Built it to do like some track days, all across stuff like that, and it was more teeter on the race car side.
Yeah.
And the last couple of road tours, we've really made some runs at making it drive and like ride better and do this and de-race car it. And this last year, we made a really good run at making it better, but still,
It's no Camaro.
now it's no Camaro.
Not a Camaro.
Where are you guys going to be at next? Where are you going to have a booth at? Where can people come and say, hey, I'm one of the 7 listeners that heard you on the podcast?
Man, we are honestly really bad about
Columbus next year?
planning on
Columbus.
going to a bunch. Like, so this year, I think the plan is to hit a ton of Good Guys events. I think we are going to hit Battle Bama or something.
Battle in Bama,
Battle in Bama. We're going to hit that.
right?
We're going to hit a handful of Good Guys shows.
Nashville.
Triple Crown.
Triple. Yeah, we're going to.
Yeah,
The Grand National's too new to be in Triple Crown, but we're going to do a booth at Triple Crown.
Triple Crown, I don't know. Like, I want Bobby to and
Gary
to do well. But at the same time, I don't want like all the spectators to be there. I think everybody doesn't know that the Triple Crown is just where all the builders go to drink.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
that's just where we all go to hang out, take some cars, and then have a good time.
Yeah.
How important do you guys think SEMA is for your business and other guys that are starting out to get a car out there and debut it?
Not as much as what I think it used to be. I don't know.
I think it's still important.
It's still
But I think if anyone is going into it with the mindset of like, this is my break or make moment, I don't think it is.
Okay. All right.
I feel like it's still important,
unless you
even
fucking bring it.
Yeah.
Right.
even though like even the Grand National, like we brought it, I feel, and it's legit. We have not like signed multiple contracts of $1 million bills.
You just
since we've
never
been back.
know, man.
You just never know.
Yeah, I don't know that we ever signed or sold a car at the show, but just from I guess getting it out there, the unveil.
That's
I feel like
big.
all your
Okay.
cars you said like you've debuted this at SEMA, you debuted it at SEMA in bare metal, you debuted it at SEMA for your car, for Angelo's car. It just kind of seems like that's the recipe for most guys.
I feel like it's like even though it's in November at the end of the year, I feel like it's the kickoff for the car.
Yeah.
Probably. Like
The thing that we it's missed and everybody dances around is each individual show. SEMA, as important as it is, probably the most important. It's a kickoff, right? We look at SEMA as
it's the kickoff.
It's the Super Bowl, but it's also the kickoff of the year, right? Yeah. That award, Street Machine of the Year, all of the prominent ones, right? Triple Crown. None of those are what makes a customer decide to fork over money in and of itself.
Yeah.
But when the customer is looking for shops, it's what legitimizes your labor rate. It what legitimizes what you've done and what legitimizes because you have done those things. Nobody says he won that award. Let me go find him and give him money. But if they're looking to have a car built and they're looking at other different shops, if you've never won anything and you've never been to any show, it's hard for them to fork over the money. Be like, well, you've never done anything. Why am I going to get that? Right. But if you have those accolades, it's just for the bookshelf, right? Yeah. It's part of the thing. And there's no other way to get your name on the world stage like SEMA.
No, it's street cred for sure. Like,
but it doesn't pay the bills.
No,
but it will.
It will. Like
it's marketing,
it's long-term play marketing. Like we all said earlier, we'd all be lying if like we weren't like when you win that award, you're not just like, fuck yeah, this is priceless. I would pay for this.
But then how do you get high in like 3 months when you come back home and there's no show? And then it's like, oh, fuck. We got to do that. That's the problem. That's the drug addict in all of us.
It's hard. Like we went to, like we thrashed in the Grand National to get it done. Went to SEMA. We won the best on the rest.
Oh, that's
number one.
There's no other word there, right?
We won the HRIA Evolution Hot Riding Award, which was huge. That was like the night ender mic drop
last show,
and I wasn't expecting that. That was really cool.
Yep.
And it makes it all worth it. And it's stuff that I'll never forget. But like you come back from SEMA and you park that car in the shop and you're like, I need a break from that car for a minute. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
finish it.
It's like, you still got to finish it. Yeah. We talked about on the way here. We're like, fuck. There's a couple things that we need to tune up on. It was SEMA done.
Well, I mean, they literally drove that thing out because I think Gainesville wanted to drive it out. So they drove it out and got stuck in traffic for an hour and a half on Las Vegas Boulevard.
Yeah, fun times.
Yeah, so we're like
never overheated, and I mean it was.
We're like in Las Vegas Boulevard. The customers in the car for the first time. Las Vegas traffic, and I'm like stressed out.
He's stressed out.
But it was good. It all worked out.
It never overheated. Never ran over 200. I mean, it was great. It all worked out.
Good, but yeah,
you know. And what gauges did you have in it? What gauges are in it?
Holly.
Okay.
Dash. We don't have that cool Grand National dash that you guys have.
Oh. Who does?
We do.
It's been absolutely fucking awesome.
Thanks for coming out, guys.
Thanks for having us.
See you guys soon. Thanks for listening. See you again next week.